Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Water Tower Podcast.
Breaking.
This is episode 19. Episode 19. We got all kinds of screens staring at us because we have a special guest today. He's running a little late. He's calling out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I have no idea what it's called. Something like that. Something Alabama-ish. But he went to the liquor store and he's stuck behind a train, and that's the most Alabama shit I've ever heard.
That's hella Alabama.
He'll be joining us any minute now. So whenever he's ready, he'll just call in and we'll get him on. But everybody enjoy your day. And we got some beautiful Bullet Rye whiskey. We got Nick brought some over some different types of cigars, and we got the beer flowing.
Shout out to Hadaway's, 16th on 16th Street, downtown Sacramento.
Hadaway's,
yeah.
Right by that badass Mexican joint you like.
Yeah, I like it. My wife doesn't like it, but I like it.
I got nachos the other day from a place around here, and I was like, fuck, I should have went there, dude.
Yeah,
they're awful.
La Garnachas.
Is that what they're called?
That's what they're called. Yeah, actually, yeah, that's the Hadaway's right next to that. I actually went in today to buy those cigars, and dude, they have a pretty bitchin' lounge.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I mean, it's nothing extravagant, but it's a nice lounge, and it's open. So he said that technically they're closed, but if there's no one there, you go in, you chill.
They're like, if you got money, fuck it.
Yeah, pretty much.
We need money.
Yeah, some guy went in there and spent, several $100 on cigars.
You?
No, not me.
I was like, damn, what'd you get?
No, not me. No, this guy, and they sell bundles of this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're supposedly, they're Cuban growers. So it's Cuban cigars, technically.
Yeah.
And they're pretty good.
Yeah, nice. Nice. Yeah, so every time you brought stuff from them, they've been pretty good. So can't complain. There's this place in Visalia on Main. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like Sequoia Cigars or something?
I'm not sure. Maybe.
It's okay.
I bet I've been there with Chep. Chep got into cigars for a while.
Okay.
He
probably. That's like the only spot, I think. But it's kind of awkward. You walk in, they definitely got their old man crew. And when you walk in, they just all stare at you. And sometimes the guy that works there is sitting with them, and he might not greet you. He might. I mean, they're cool and nice. I've gone in there many times. It's just, you could tell they have their club. It's almost like they don't want any new customers. It feels like it's awkward. I don't know.
Where everybody knows your name.
Yeah. You walk in, everyone just stares at you. But every time I got in, everyone's been friendly. It's just a little awkward for some reason.
It always is, right? Yeah. You have to get one in with the crew.
Yeah. One time I went there and it was 100 degrees outside, and I went in there and just felt awkward, and everyone just staring at me. I was alone by myself, and I was just like, fuck, I'm going outside. This is awkward. And everyone just was amazed. I was out there smoking a cigar in 100-degree weather.
Just to avoid, that's why you smoke a cigar, though, to get away from that kind of bad energy,
I was fine with it. I felt fine. I was in the shade outside. It felt good. But everyone walked by what's wrong with you? And I was just I avoid awkward situations at all costs sometimes.
You know what? Speaking of Chep smoking cigars, he came up one time to SAC, and we went to Hadaway's. And actually, the first time I hung out in that lounge was with Chep. And, dude, we sat there, watched the football game, had a couple stogies, and they made us cappuccinos. You just drop them a tip here and there, and they bring you cappuccino.
Cappuccino.
That's the real cappuccinos, too. a little tiny-ass cup, It's
yeah.
I never experienced that shit. It was fancy.
Really? You never had a little cup of cappuccino?
No, that was my first time.
It's where they charge you a lot and they just give you a little espresso and a bunch of fucking foam, and they call it voila.
Right.
But, anyways, so what else is new, man? What's going on? You working out in this weather?
Fucking hot out there, Jay.
Hot? What they call it? Sweaty sack in the summer?
Muy caliente.
It's fucking hot as fuck. I'm not leaving the house ever.
It's hot AF, bro. Yeah, and you know what? Thankfully, I start at 7. I'm usually done about 12. So good that I can get out of there at that time. But damn, it's a fucking scorcher, bro. I can't even imagine what agricultural workers feel in this shit. They probably start at 4 in the morning, I bet.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably. I hope so. Fucking, it's hot as balls out there. I was telling Gina, because Gina's from the Bay Area, Daly City. It's always foggy, cool weather usually. But she was like, you guys grew up in this? I'm like, oh yeah. She's like played football? I'm like, yeah. 1 or 2 kids would die in Fresno or the Valley somewhere. Some kid would die every couple of years or every year. And she's like, are you fucking kidding me? And people still play? I was like, yeah.
That's crazy. Hottest part of the year too. That's when we're starting
pads and shit. I remember my legs would be all sunburned.
Dude, I remember throwing up multiple times.
Oh yeah,
hell
exhaustion all the time.
Oh dude, hell, you come off of summer eating chips and fucking
fucked up.
Yeah, fucked up, getting wasted.
Don't
go
do
to
it.
hell week.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that was the worst.
Flipping tires and pushing kegs.
And for some reason, like I don't know, I was a little heavy, but I was tall, you know, so I was like a lineman, tight end, defensive end. So I was always with the linemen, and they always did the hardest shit. It seemed like fucking quarterbacks and running backs are running plays, and we're out there fucking pushing bags and shit.
The quarterback always gets like a chill. I don't know. I've done both. I'll say linebackers, their shit was pretty hard as well. But yeah, usually like the quarterbacks, receivers, they'll like pull them to the side and practice routes. And shit, which you have to do.
Yeah, right.
Linemen are just pushing a fucking bag across the.
With the coach on it.
Yeah.
Coach Lamb.
Yeah. But yeah, football is fucking nuts. It was hot as fuck out there.
Middle of the fucking summer, dude.
Hell week would be 2 a days, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening because it was cooler my ass. Still like fucking 99 or something at 6 p.m. But
Central Valley, dude.
Shit, that shit would get you in shape. I remember like after 2 weeks being like a young man, like my bench press jumped like, I don't know, like 50 pounds or something in 2 weeks.
Oh, no lie.
I was like, holy shit.
I should have fucked you up.
Yeah, and then after that, I just stopped.
But dude, 111 it's supposed to reach this week.
Yeah. And it's supposed to be like 3 days or 4 days in a row over 100 or I don't know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, 102, 107, 105, some shit like that.
Yeah, it's like.
What a drag, man.
I know. My mom was going to come up because she was going to come up last week, but they had a COVID scare, so she was going to come up a little later. And I was like, what's the point? You're going to, because you're from the valley, you're going to drive 3 hours for another hot spot, and none of us are going to do anything.
Yeah, stay there.
Stay inside. So
can't go anywhere. Can't eat indoors.
COVID. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Think about all the restaurants who have to eat outside, and now it's over 100 degrees.
Half off lunches everywhere.
Me and Gina went to the Porch. Have you ever been to the Porch?
No.
It's a cool spot. I think on J Street, but yeah, it was packed and like on some fried chickens, like soul food shit. Ooh. And then we're like, got some cocktails and fuck, it was hot. We were in shade, but it was just like, fuck this.
Hot food on a hot day.
Yeah, it was bomb. It was delicious, but it was like, let's get the fuck in the car.
It's that hot, dude.
Everyone looked miserable.
It's that this is when your backyard looks like shit. Like, thankfully my wife, she's been home most of the time, so she's been cutting the backyard, but I would not fucking touch usually at this time of year when it gets over 100, I get home from work, I ain't fucking cutting the yard.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Did you see my grass coming in?
I did.
It's like, remember how bad it was like back in the day? It's back there.
It's back to that.
Yeah, because I was running sprinklers in the middle of the night because I was using water illegally. But because my grass got all dead because I thought the sprinklers were running when I moved in. The landlord said it's all set up, but it wasn't. So I was watering it, getting it back. It was still looking pretty spotty, but got it back where there's some green. And then the lawn guy hit a fucking sprinkler.
Oh, what an asshole.
And then like I saw him like kind of by the doors, like, does he need to tell me something? And I told him every time he comes, knock on the door, hook him up water, we'll get talk to him about some things or whatever. And he just never does. I don't know. So I saw him hovering out there and then he got in his truck and just drove off. So I went out there and I saw a piece of his sprinkler all broke. I'm like, motherfucker. Like he didn't even like clean the pieces up. He just left them. So I cleaned it up and I turned the sprinklers on and it was flooding. I was like, fuck. So ever since then, I've been like spot spraying it here and there.
He never fixed it?
Fucking, he took off.
Oh,
he didn't even tell me. I just like knew something was
fishy. And just
fishy.
came back every week after that, like nothing happened.
He comes like once a month, and so yeah, he told me he comes every week, but he doesn't. He comes once a month. I don't know. Seems like a nice guy, but just probably nervous or something. But
mowing blows.
It was like fuck. So now the grass is back dead, and unless I want to,
Well, and right now it's hard to keep your grass alive. Fuck, you have to water that shit every fucking day right now. It's crazy.
And there's no fucking shade on this side, so it's fucked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Yeah, I have patches in my yard. And my front yard I like to keep clean only because all my neighbors' yards are clean. It's like, you can't be that guy, right?
I'm that guy. Fuck you. And the grass is not green in 100-degree weather.
That's a violation of HOA standards.
Home prices. I'm like, I rent, bitch. In my house.
Did you ever watch that commercial where it's like, and by the way, dude, I don't know, landlords, that's the shit. I mean, if that guy that you talk about says that does your maintenance, he should be able to see that and be like, hey, something's going on over there, landlord. You need to get your ass over there and figure this shit out.
Well, I'm my mom's son, so I know when shit goes wrong and you could deal with it, don't contact the landlord because they might raise that rent. So I there's a list of things. I'm like, choose your battles wisely.
Right.
Rent's pretty cheap for this area right now. So, but yeah, the sprinklers were all messed up when we moved in. When I started running them, like half of them don't work. So like I'm always flooding something. So I just had to at this point turn them off.
Dude, fuck it. Let's hit up your landlord and say, hey, fuck, sprinklers are out. I can fix them. I'll just send you the receipt. for the shit. I'll come over. We'll grab a 12-pack. And we'll fucking handle that shit.
Or we just wait till winter.
We'll start next year.
It's like not my house, so I don't know. I don't care.
Right.
I was embarrassed when I first moved in. Now I don't give a fuck. But like, yeah, it's like I don't know. I tried hard to get it back, and it was still nothing great.
Dude, you know what though, man? I honestly think that it puts you in a good mood. I think when you can sit on your lawn or when you're there watering, it feels good, dude. I don't know why, man. I like to go outside, smoke a joint, get the water hose. I don't have sprinklers, so I just water my shit by hand. And like that's you think a lot during that process, and I have a little chair that I sit down on, and you know.
Yeah, but you wake up early. Like I stay up all night, and then like and then like not wake up early.
Noon.
Yeah, so like I stay up, but like I'm still getting like 6 hours. Like I'm probably still get more day than most people. But like it's like I always remember like fucking 10 p.m. Like fuck, I got a lot of goddamn grass. Stupid sprinklers don't work anymore.
Ah, fuck it, Jay. Leave it. Next season.
I'm still gonna spray it. It needs seeds though. Like it needs to be redone. There's like dirt patches.
Yeah, and I'm sure the fucking dirt here is shitty too.
Yeah, I don't know. You could just tell that the grass hasn't been that great in a long time because all the sprinklers are jacked.
Well, fuck it. Just just tell them, hey, we're doing the drought remedy. We're concerned with the planet and wasting water.
Yeah, man, that's me. Always concerned about the planet.
Mm-hmm.
No, but
well, you want to light some of these little ones, and we'll save the big ones for Tucker.
All right.
Might as well get something going here.
I forgot which end I cut. That's always the worst. I think it's this one.
Oh yeah, she.
And he committed a murder, you see. That's what you remind me of.
These are cool.
I want to grab 101 Dalmatians and make a coat.
Sorry. We gotta have one of those tips.
Yeah.
Little extensions.
Little black and mild tip.
So I was gonna buy some huge ass stogies, but those can get a little overpowering sometimes. So I figured I'd get us some nice Maduro torpedoes and just some whatever the fuck cigars. They call them naturals, but
all natural.
Whatever.
Hey, you were telling me if I wanted to be mayor of Lindsey, if I was ever going to move back and run for mayor.
Yeah, you ever thought about that?
Obviously, you have, because that's why you asked me.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, as cliche as it sounds, I mean, I don't know if I'd run for mayor, but city council, on the city council. I mean, dude, those positions are made for people that have not only knowledge and experience in a place, but are educated enough to make decisions on a grand platform for the city, for the people, and for the community.
That's what they're supposed to be.
No, right. Well, right. Exactly.
I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's very common. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's not common, but I think it's common for people to go out, get educated, and go back to their community and make their community better, right? Isn't that cliche? Like you hear about that shit sometimes.
Oh yeah, there's like a huge small communities that kids move out, they go get the college degree, get some work experience, and come back and bring up the community they came from. Sometimes, yeah.
Right. And so it's always been at the back of my mind. I would fuck, dude, Lindsey's an amazing place, man. I love it. It's quaint, it's nice, foothills, Sierra Nevada's right there. I mean, it's just a beautiful place.
It's got a cool charm to it. It's beautiful and ugly at the same time is how I see it, because just like Sacramento right now, they're all burning up. There's not even rivers around there.
Where's that cutter at, Jay?
The cutter? Oh.
Yeah, I didn't make my hole big enough.
There you go.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, it is.
That's what she said. I can't help it.
It's got its good and its bad, but it's got potential to be, especially, dude, when that McDermott thing came in, and I thought for sure, like, oh damn, this is gonna fucking put Lindsey on the map. Like, this is gonna turn this place around. It
did for the wrong reasons.
Well, yeah, now it's in not doing so well. It's not even city owned anymore. It's privately owned, I think.
Yeah, if you ever want to bankrupt a small community, why don't you build something that's way too big for it to sustain itself, and then take from the water fund? And isn't that what they did?
Oh, that's what they did. Yeah. They took from all kinds of different funds.
Because it was going to pay off one of these days.
Well, yeah, right.
Hey, how's that COVID treating y'all? I don't know.
Well, dude, and I mean, I guess thankfully now it's in private hand, because otherwise the city would still be losing fucking money on it. But
it's already done the damage, though, right? Didn't Lindsey go bankrupt?
Did they?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. Well, I would have
last year, 2 years or something. I don't know.
Dude, that sucked up so much fucking money, energy, power.
Well, they had awesome grant writers. Nicole Shiro, I used to talk to her, and she said, dude, when they first were booming, and she goes, we have these grant writers that, get government funding. And they're just, it's like, if you're a good grant writer, you get more money, you know what to do, how to write it. And yeah, so I don't know. It just always seemed interesting, but you'd hear about Visalia people going, and for all you people who know what we're talking about, our town's a little community in the middle of nowhere. And they took a bunch of empty, been empty for years, like packing houses.
Right.
I've heard huge warehouses, and they built this amazing facility. It was pretty awesome. This little, I don't know, how big is Lindsey now?
Well, I mean, it's probably population 15,000, pretty close to that.
Yeah. And so it has like indoor surfing. It has a zip line. It has a bunch of basketball courts, a gym, laser tag, everything.
Indoor
arcade, soccer field,
climbing wall.
Basically anything you could think of.
The largest laser tag facility, Tucker calling it.
No, I just felt like my door, I felt the door shut. I felt like upstairs.
Are you high?
Gina might be home now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, dude, largest underground laser tag in the United States.
Really?
Yep. It's they set a few standards, man. That shit is pretty fucking amazing. Actually, that wave machine, the closest one in the area is San Diego. I think there's only like 3 in the California.
Yeah.
And dude, it just
boxing ring.
Yeah. They had the CrossFit gym. They had a skate park.
Yeah.
Fuck, they had everything, dude. And had a lot of potential, man. To be honest, dude, my grandma lives right down the road, right?
Let's give like the whole story for people that don't know the community. Like basically they took these warehouses, built this badass facility that had everyone scratching the head. How is this existing here? And it did pretty well. I don't know about financially, but it had people there. And over the years, they started diverging funds, like I don't know, like I think the water fund or something. There's a podcast out of Visalia that did a special on it. And hit up Marcus Moreno. He sent that or shared it on Facebook, but it was interesting. And they were saying why Lindsey went bankrupt. But I guess they diverged the water fund, other funds to McDermott, which I think is illegal, and hoping that one day it's going to pay off. Oh, next year it's going to pay off. Oh, in 6 months it's going to pay off. And it just never did, I guess, because it was just so massive and so expensive.
Well, at the same time, people's water bills are going up. People in that neighborhood, my uncle lives in that neighborhood, my grandma lives in that neighborhood, and all their water bills are going up. And every time they'd go to the city hall to confront them, looks like Tucker's arriving.
Oh,
it was always neglected, of course. Looks like we got some company.
Hey, Tucker. Tucker, can you hear us?
Oh, his mic's off. Oh, there it goes.
Can you hear me now?
Hey, yep, got you.
Okay, rock on.
Hey, Tucker. Hey, man, long time no see.
Jay, it's been a long time. I was trying to think of the last time I saw you, and I think it was at a bar in San Francisco when you were bartending.
Was it really?
I think. I mean, I don't know if I'm right about that, but I think that's where I left. I was trying to think about this. I think you were I was in San Francisco for a wedding in 2013 or 12. I think 13, maybe 12, actually 12. And I think the wedding was outside of San Francisco, but you told me where you worked. I was in touch with you, and I stopped by your bar, I think. I don't know if that's...
Probably a lot of people would stop by there randomly, especially semester at C people. But anyways, Tucker, this is Nick. Nick, this is Tucker.
What's up,
Nick? Nice to meet you. How are you?
I grew up with Nick in a small community called Lindsey, California, and I met Tucker on Semester at Sea, a program through University of Virginia that was a ship that circumnavigated the world. And me and Tucker, met on there and hung out and traveled India together. And haven't kind of lost touch over the years, but man, I always remember, I always said, we got to get Tucker on. I just remember, I haven't talked to him in years, but he was a cool guy. Maybe he's addicted to heroin now and living under.
Oh, yeah.
How you been, man? What you been up to?
Yeah, man. Well, I loved your guys' podcast. I saw a couple episodes, or I watched a couple episodes last weekend or something. And loved it. So I just like I remember the times we hung out, Jay, on the boat and all that stuff. So it made me miss all that. But man, I've been up to a lot, I guess. I've been all over the place. I don't know. I'm currently living in Alabama of all places, but I'm going to grad school here at the moment. But
What city or town is it called?
Tuscaloosa.
Tuscaloosa. I was trying to say
Tuscaloosa.
Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, Tuscaloosa, Roll Tide. Yeah, University of Alabama. I don't know if any of that. I don't know if you watch college or you did. I feel like it's all going to be in the past tense. Watched college football, but
Oh no.
but
I was trying to say it when we first started. I was like, we're gonna have a guest on from something, Alabama. Us Californians, we don't know. We're so stupid over here.
yeah, Tuscaloosa. I think it originally was a Creek word, which is an Indian tribe that was destroyed by Andrew Johnson and then put on the Trail of Tears, that old thing. It means Black Warrior, which is the famous river that goes through the city. Yeah.
And you, Black Warrior magazine or something published you, correct? Is that what I read in your blog?
Wow, you got doing some yeah. Yeah, I did a book review for Black Warrior Review. Yeah, for a book called let's see, that book was Why Women Have Better Sex Under Socialism. That was the name of the book.
Really?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I read it like last year, so it might be foggy, but it was an interesting book. She did it, the author, forget her name, Kristen. I don't want to butcher her last name, but something with a G, I think. And she did like a big study of like how women. Her whole thesis is looking at women under socialist governments and how they've had better economic independence and how that equals better sex. And so she dug up all these different like policies and stuff like that. And I don't know, it's an interesting read, and just gives you it goes from Soviet Russia all the way through like East-West Germany. And like, it just like they did a bunch of surveys during that time and it showed that women were having better sex because they had better access to economic independence. It's basically her thesis with a bunch of examples. So I wrote a really quick review about that book, and I was surprised that they let me do that. So that was great. But
that's awesome. Well, what about men? Do men have better sex than socialism?
I don't remember them recalling. I think it's probably like if women have better sex, men will have better sex. I don't know. Like if women are having good sex, good point. I actually don't know the answers to that offhand. I would have to look back through the book.
That sounds logical to me.
And I feel like I might just be speaking for myself here, but I feel like men just want the woman to feel like she's satisfied and he's like the man. Like even if they lie to us, like just lie to us. That's all we want.
Yeah.
So if we have to change the country to socialism, so be it.
Hey, I want better sex, man. Come on. So what did you give it, man? What was your review like?
I mean, I don't know. I just gave it, I remember it being really heavily edited. So like, another thing about writing is like you send it somewhere and the editor completely kind of moves it around a lot. A lot of times it improves the thing, but I think I remember the book was interesting. It gave you a full, it was a good history lesson, I think, if anything. It doesn't really offer you like a guidebook of how to apply those things to whatever, like capitalism society or whatever. Like she didn't really map that out, but she just looked at things, how certain policies like better like care for like children or like preschool care and that kind of stuff for childbearing women who have young children or for parents who have young children, stuff like that. If policies are like that for there's accessible childcare for free, like little things like that would make a huge difference in terms of, I think her whole thing was getting to economic independence, but she just puts this sexy title on there, to bring people in. I mean, she does spend a whole chapter, I think, on how women have had better sex when they have this type of government or different policies. So I thought it was a good history lesson. I don't know if it necessarily is a huge critique on our current or any capitalism society. I don't know. It gets in the weeds, right? Like, I don't know if, I think some of those things should definitely be implemented, but I don't know. It's a hard road to get to that, I guess.
So you're getting your master's right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, becoming Master Tuck. I'm in the in the route. Yeah. I want to just be called Dr. Tuck one day. That's my true goal. Maybe I don't know. I'm getting a master's in fine arts. MFA is what it's called, in creative writing. I'm doing nonfiction writing, so I mostly do like journalism, personal essays, science writing, that kind of thing. So that's kind of, I'm working on a book. That's kind of what brought me to this program, because it gives you a lot of time and space to do it, and it's free in exchange for like, I work for the university. I give like 20 hours of my time every week, supposedly, where I teach, and I teach comp classes, and I'm also an assistant to the director of the program. So like I help with the events. It's all warped this year because of COVID. Like, I don't know. I can't decide if the universities are going to pull it off, or it's going to be like they're all going to be like mini petri dishes of exchanging COVID everywhere. I don't know. It's, you go downtown in a college town. I don't know what town you guys are in, if you have a college in your town or not, but you go down like the strip, and the bars are packed with people. Like the bartender's got a mask on, but
kind of like, yeah, here it's kind of mixed. Sacramento, it's kind of like 50-50. I feel like you'll see a lot of people masked, and some people just like, fuck it.
Right. But it is a college town, and I have seen a lot of people out. I mean, bars are full. Yeah. I mean, thankfully they're outdoor. They're opening up the outdoors, patios and things like that. But they're fucking packed, no doubt about that.
Well, and it's like over 100 degrees today, so I don't know how good that's going to work out.
Right. I mean, yeah, I also deliver food for a little bit of side cash right now, and I mean, I go into the places, like I'll go into this restaurant called World Beer, and you could guess it's 2019 summer, right? Like it's just like people, it's just packed. It's like there's no pandemic. I don't know. I mean, everyone falls different on the spectrum, so it's, I don't know. But sorry, tangent. Yeah, I'm getting a master's in creative writing, but I'm here to work on my book and eventually get an agent, hopefully, which I think I'm getting close to pitch it to agents. So like that's kind of, and to gain experience in teaching. I also wanted to get away from, I was working in like nonprofit and humanitarian work before this, and I kind of wanted to give my writing life one more go here. And so this felt like a perfect opportunity, even though Alabama wasn't my original like want, but it's like, I'll go live in the South for a few years. Like, what the hell? Let's try it out.
Yeah, before we moved to Sacramento, New Orleans was on the list of somewhere, because I was like, let's just go. I've never been to the South. I never really experienced it. Let's go move there and just check it out, But you grew up in Colorado, is that correct?
Yeah, good memory. Yeah, I grew up in Colorado. Yeah. So I grew up in 3 states technically. I was born in Wyoming, and then I was there till about 7. Then I spent 5 years in Salt Lake City, Utah, and then I spent the rest of high school like in southern Colorado in a town called Pueblo. Oh. And then I went to college, my undergrad, when I was that semester at sea in Fort Collins, Colorado State. So
okay. And where did you grow up in Wyoming? What part?
Do you know 10 sleep? No. Like a 10 and a sleep?
I was like, yeah, it's north, right? No, I don't. I just know Cheyenne, basically, in like some of the outer areas, which I forget.
Yeah, I mean, it's like on the opposite end of Cheyenne, so it's like, I don't know if you know the Bighorn Mountains, but it's right on the edge of the Bighorn. The Bighorns are pretty big, I get long, but
not called Little.
No, it's not Little Horn. 10 Sleep, I mean, it's close. Do you know Sheridan? Have you heard of that? I don't know. Sheridan.
It's not the Sheraton Hotel.
Yeah.
That's it. No, I'm sorry. I have it. I'm just going to be honest. I don't know.
I mean, it's a small town. There's 300 people. The sign says 320 people or something population. So I was one. I took it down. Me and my mom and sister took it down 3 when we left town. So
just scroll the guy in the came in painted it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh well, gotta go down to 317 now. Yeah. So it's a quirky little town. I mean, they have it now. I mean, I try to go back every year. I didn't go this year because of COVID, but I've got family and good friends from that time that knew my mom really well, and some of my books taking place there. I'm writing about like these sheep herders in one section, and so like and ranchers and stuff like that, which are all kind of there. It's a weird place where now they have like this little brewery pub, and it brings all these like rock climber hippie people with all these like old timer rancher forever Wyoming nights, and then you've got these like people from the East Coast with money or whatever and want to rock climb for the summer and use the bathroom soap, and it pisses the whole town off, and everyone's like, this is what's happening to our town. Or, it's like this interesting conflict that happens in the summer. And it's a really beautiful spot. It's also got the Knollwood Musical Festival that brings in a bunch of like country, rock, and folk music at the end of summer, like around July 4th or so. So
Nice.
I don't know. It's a cool, or it's a little after July 4th, but it's yeah. I go back there frequently. It's a weird little place, but it's also it's dear to my heart. But yeah, so yeah, Tent Sleep. It's a good spot.
When you go back home, so are you kind of jumping around through those 3 states, or is there kind of like one place you call home?
Yeah, I've jumped around. I don't go to Utah too often unless my sister's there my sister lives in LA, but she goes to Salt Lake often for work for her. She's like a producer and stuff, so she does a lot of filming in Salt Lake. And her boyfriend's there, I think. So they hang out there often or meet up there, try to. But I go to Colorado. Colorado feels like my home, I think. But I'll go to Wyoming too, and then my dad lives in New Mexico, so I also frequently go there. Yeah, I feel like Rocky Mountain West just kind of I don't know. I have a lot of. I feel like every time I say that, and people are like, "Why did you leave?" Like I don't know, just to get out. Yeah, but it was but those states I definitely go back to often. I try to go every summer, or I go back to Colorado for winter most of the time. So.
Okay.
So what kind of inspiration you pulling out of Alabama, or maybe lack thereof, for your book?
Yeah, it's weird, man. Like so much of my book is not. I mean, it doesn't really take place in Alabama. It's also, but also the book's a lot about diabetes. My mom passed away from type 1 diabetes, and it's a long story. We could maybe get into it, but it covers her life a lot of the time. So those are going to go across those 3 states. Wyoming, Colorado, and Utah. And Alabama's good. I mean, the cost of living is really nice, so it's easy to find a room to hang out in. I mean, I'm in my girlfriend's house now, but before I moved here or moved in with her, I was like, my rent was like $355 a month, so it was just insane. So that was really easy. And I don't know, like I also wanted to get away from a harsh winter, so the weather's actually pretty nice, even though it's really sweaty this time of year. But yeah, it's usually so I think those are what I'm pulling from it. And I don't know why Alabama's got its own kind of weirdness to it. I don't know, and it's also kind of naturally beautiful. There's a lot of lakes and rivers, and there's also the ocean that's 4 hours away from me. So like not that that's a big deal to you guys, I guess, because you guys are pretty close to the ocean now, or no? I don't know, Sacramento.
A couple hours.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Alabama's all right. I think I would rather be in Alabama than, like, no offense to Illinois, but like something like that. I don't know. It's a weird state, but in a good way, I think. Its politics can be kind of difficult at times, but I think I enjoy kind of the little bit of weirdness in like the Southern culture, which is totally a real thing. It's sometimes hard to see when you're part of a university, which kind of feels like its own bubble. And the last 10 years, the university has had more undergrad from out of state than they have had in state ever in its history. So like more than half of the undergrad students, which is about 30-something thousand people, are from out of state, which makes it kind of, throws in a wrench. You just kind of be more in-house, I think. So I don't know, but once you get outside that university bubble, like there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of good people here, and it's fun. I don't know. And there's a lot of good outdoor things to do. So I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting you said bubble, because I felt the same way when I was in college. I was like, oh, this is how the world is. And you realize like there's all these bubbles. And outside of that bubble, there's just a California bubble, which we're so self-centered over here,
Hella.
But like hella self-centered.
Yeah, you guys are, what did they used to call a couple years? Well, the 2016 election, they were like Cal exit. What was it? It's not Brexit.
To this, yeah.
yeah. So
they're gonna break the state apart. Remember that?
Oh yeah. We still talk about that here and there, because like where we grew up was really conservative, and we thought it was a small town. But hearing your small town, you kick our ass. We were like 10,000 people growing up. But it's very conservative, and then like I lived in San Francisco, and it's just complete opposite. It's like very, very extreme on one end of the spectrum. But I think it's good to get both vibes, and I'm kind of curious, like because the reason I wanted to move to the South, or why me and my girlfriend thought about it, was we talk about the South. You hear people talk about the South in California, but most of them never been. Some have,
Sure.
obviously, but so I was like, oh, let's go get a real life experience. So it sounds like you got that. You talked about the Southern culture. Do you mind like kind of diving into that from someone that's like from the Rocky Mountain area of these 3 states, going over there?
Yeah. Let me think about it. I mean, I think it's, it's much more like that. It's more conservative, right? It's definitely a red state. So like you encounter that much more than I feel like, at least when I'm in Colorado, I feel like Colorado becomes more blue every time I walk in there, or every time I go into there. I mean, when I was in high school, like weed was not legal yet. And like Colorado hadn't become this like haven. I feel like it's what Portland, Oregon was a few years ago, like 10 years ago. Like everyone thought Portland was like the liberal mecca, and I feel like Denver and Colorado, Boulder are kind of becoming that. So like it's definitely it's like the opposite of that in Alabama. I mean, I think Southern culture, I feel like the manners stuff is real, like Southern manners, like ma'am and sir. I never used to say ma'am and sir to like strangers or like at the Taco Bell drive-through thing, but now I'm feeling myself inserting it. It's almost automatic now. So it's gonna be one of those things when I go back to Colorado, I'm gonna say thank you, ma'am, and someone's gonna be like, "What the fuck?"
I'm a sir. How dare you?
You're going native, sucker.
So I think that, and there's also this kind of laid backness. I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely not an expert, I guess, but I think there's this kind of laid backness, more hangout, like things are going to be okay, less urgency with I don't know. I'm trying to think how to word this. Like, I think there's less intensity on, like, I lived in New York City for 3 years before I moved here. So it was like quite a change of gear. So but like in Alabama, it just feels like people are okay with like sitting on your porch and chatting, hanging out, and there's more of that. That's, I guess, more Southern culture, like chill and have a beer. You're okay with hot weather. You can handle that stuff. Like you can handle sweating, and you almost enjoy it. Like it's like air conditioning can become difficult at times if you're in, for too long or something. Versus like when I compare it to something like New York, where everyone's like in a rush and intense and like not friendly. I think there's more Southern kind of like friendliness. Accent, of course, is one big thing that you encounter here. I mean, I have like I don't know. I don't have an accent. I don't know what I have. I say crick instead of creek, I guess, but that's not really anything at all.
Rick.
Yeah, down by the creek. I don't know. That's I don't know if that's.
I don't know. I think $355 rent would make me a little chill too.
Yeah, for $350 a month, you can call it whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Shit, when you're living in New York, you're constantly thinking about paying rent all day, every day. I'm sure.
It sucks. Yeah, I was making almost $60,000 a year at my last job. Or yeah, I mean, some of that was going into retirement and blah blah. But like, end of the day, like, I mean, I still had to live like in a dishwasher for $1,000. Like that's just kind of great. It was great. I mean, New York's got this great velocity, but there's no like. I want to go to New York and like rent an Airbnb for like a week and just play for a week versus existing there. I mean, if I made, I don't know, $300,000 or more, it's fine. But I was so far from being I mean, if I would have lived there for 20 years, I don't think I'd be that. So just picked the wrong.
I had a similar experience with San Francisco. It was like I kept getting raises and like moving up, went back to college and got a different career and kept moving up, but it just was never enough. And it was like I was living in a little shoebox, like paying $17.50 or whatever, and I was cheap. And it was just like in my 20s, it was fun and cool, but when I got to like my 30s or like late 20s, 30s, I was like, okay, I gotta like think long term now. I gotta plan.
Right. I mean, that's how I thought. I was like, I sat down and said, I mean, this is a cool job and cool city, but like in 10 years, it won't be different. Like I'll be living with whatever. I mean, maybe I'll meet a love of my life or whatever, but that never happened in New York. It's happened in Alabama. So I don't know how that, so like, I mean, I don't know. It's strange how life works, but I don't know. Yeah, I think all those things, I mean, I was just so happy to have like a car again and have a backyard and like a porch to sit on. Like, I don't know. I mean, just small things, but Yeah, so I don't know, and not pay like $8 for 1 pint of beer every time. So like, yes. I mean, I'm sure you know this in San Francisco, same thing, right? And so I don't know. Yeah, I think the Southern culture is just it is a little bit different. It is funny when I go back to like Colorado, and I've had family say things like, "Oh, Alabama," and they're saying that like it's another. I'm like, it's in America. It's it's not. People will say it as if it's a whole other country or something, but it's.
I always found it funny if you talk like in San Francisco, if I talk shit about like, I don't know, I'm just, not that I talk shit, but say, oh, fucking Iran or Bangladesh or something, like, how dare you? And they're like, fuck Alabama, like, applaud. Like, what? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's a funny world, but I don't know. Maybe I'm a little spoiled being in a college town where you do have more. I mean, I more lean on the liberal side of things, so like you have very thoughtfulness. But I think you get in Alabama, if you go to like Birmingham, there's like, well, I guess I'm speaking pre-COVID kind of times, but really exciting music scene, lots of microbreweries, like really great like nonprofits that like the creative writing collective where they bring tutoring to kids with creative writing and stuff like that. I think it's called that. It's called something like that. But there are, there's lots of exciting stuff like that. The food here is really great. Like there's really great farmers markets. I don't know. I think and there's really good. It's like one of the top places to grow crops and stuff like that. It's one of the most biodiverse places. I don't know. I think Alabama's gets this kind of, it does get a big, you definitely see the things that it's known for, what it's like put as an image for. But I think that's true for every state though, probably.
Yeah.
Identity, man. Yeah. So is that like gators out there? Like, is that Alabama or like Louisiana?
In the southern Alabama, gators are there. Not so much where I am in the central north, but that's funny you brought that up. The gators. Last year I worked for Alabama Public Radio doing like reporting and journalism stuff. It's based out of the university, or it's housed in the university. And one of my first stories doing interviews for was the people who, whatever the game and wildlife people here, like you can do alligator hunting in Alabama, but they only give out, it's like a lottery system. So they only give out like 100 of them every year or something. So it's a big deal if you actually get one of these tickets, or I don't know, it's not a ticket, a tag or something. And you can only kill one gator, and you can only hunt during the night. So it's like all these rules and stuff, but it was funny. I remember asking the guy, like, what do people do with the alligator? Like a lot of people eat it. They sell the skin. Yeah. And there a lot of them do harpooning because it's the less, like if you shoot them in the head, it destroys you don't want to destroy the skin at all, I guess. I don't know. It was like this huge little story. But in the South there, I know they're much more prevalent in Florida and Louisiana probably. But in the South, yeah, I think Baldwin County, God, I don't know if I'm getting my counties right. Baldwin County in the South, I think, has a lot of gators and stuff. So they're definitely around.
It's kind of similar here with deer, right? Deer hunting. I've never been, but I hear it's like all tags, and if you don't get one, you don't get a hunt certain seasons.
Right. But it's a fucking gator, man. Shit, that's not, and you have to hunt at night. God damn.
Some dinosaur hunting there.
No, thank you.
Yeah, like in your boat, you either have like a shotgun or you got like a harpoon that you got to hit it on. I don't know, and you can only get one, so like I don't know. It'd be cool to hang out with a gator hunter. Like that would be, to get that story and get the sound on that. That would be a good radio story. But they didn't have the money to send me out on such a thing. But yeah,
if you go to the bar and you're like, you meet someone and you're like, what do you do? You're like, oh, I sell insurance. Cool. That's so okay. And then you sit next to another guy like, what do you do? I'm a hunter of alligators. And he's just got like teeth around his neck. I don't know. Like, I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
You would probably be able to guess that he was an alligator hunter before you even asked him. I'm sure.
So? I don't know. I think he'll surprise you.
Maybe he would look like an insurance salesman. I don't know. Or maybe you have the gator vest. I'm not sure. Like Crocodile Dundee style. Picking his teeth with alligator toothpicks. I'm not sure. I don't know.
So you're doing this passion. You're going for your passion, it sounds like. Is that correct? You're writing?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I mean, when I came here, I didn't know what to expect. What I saw was that you get 3 to 4 years. You get to live on a stipend. It's a free master's with the option to study other like other masters. Like I'm not doing it, but you could get a second master's in theory. It's a lot of work, probably why I didn't do it. But I also found, Alabama Public Radio. But I think what I really wanted to do was spend this time in space, because they give you a stipend. It's not very much, and as any graduate student will tell you, it's like never enough, right? But it's just barely enough to kind of get by and stuff. But yeah, I wanted to take the space and time to give it a crack. I think I've been wanting to do it. I didn't do it in my whole 20s, or I tried several times, but this finally gave me the space and the confidence, I think, to kind of go for it, I think. So that's what I'm doing. I don't know what happens next. I've fallen in love down here, so I think, and my girlfriend's gonna live here for at least another, I'm getting this right, another 5 years or something. She's got retirement coming. She's not older, but she'll have retirement.
Get that Social Security, huh, sucker?
Yeah. Dating a 60-year-old, it's great. And so that's the way to become financially secure if you're worried out there. Yeah.
Move out of New York and find yourself an older Alabama lady.
Southern. Live on I'm ready to get in the rocking chair. It's I'm only 31, and I'm just.
Do you have a sister?
Nice.
Sounds like a good life. Be on the porch.
Yeah. That was my plan the whole time.
Get that insurance.
Get insurance, life insurance, everything. There's a lot of good. There's no minuses here, really. She's 2 years older than me, but she plans on, she's put in like retirement funds, and it can follow her if she's here for another 4 or 5 years. So then we're both wanting to maybe do something. She's from Wisconsin, so she's not from here either. We're both kind of like transplants, and the university sort of brought us here in different ways. But we're thinking about maybe going somewhere next. But I think my goal right now is just to get this book done, get an agent first, and then try to sell it to some kind of publishing house with a good agent. So I've heard finding an agent for literary stuff is kind of like dating. So you've got to find someone that you jive with, that likes you for you and gets you and all that stuff. And because they're also with you for lifetime in theory. Most of the time, that's what happens. But
what's that process like of trying to find an agent?
Yeah, it's from my understanding, it's different for everyone. Like in some ways, you publish something somewhere and agents read that publication. They get in touch with you and say, "Are you represented?" Blah blah blah. Sorry, is it okay if I get another drink? I just have a.
Oh, knock yourself out.
Okay.
Like okay.
What are you drinking?
I just finished a little old fashioned. I guess got going.
Ooh. So, what kind of whiskey you got?
I started out with some Kessler.
Nice.
It's a Wisconsin.
I know Kessler.
Whiskey. I have this one too. Bullet. This is. Oh my God! Is
my
that
favorite. My favorite. Bullet Rye is my favorite.
There you go, man. I was gonna. How does that happen? That's crazy.
Energy.
Kindred spirits.
Energy.
Yeah. I was gonna open a beer, but now that just happened, I feel like I'm just gonna go with that move. Oh, you guys are drinking both? Okay, great.
Got some Pacifico. Yeah, we're
yeah.
We tried this sober podcasting for a while, and it was rough.
It was.
But I don't know.
Yeah, this is why I like this style, because it's kind of like, and this is great in terms of COVID world, because you can't go to the bar the same way anymore. This is kind of like I feel like it's a bar hangout podcast. I don't know. I've only seen 2 episodes, so I don't want to judge it on that. But
well, I'm always amazed when someone watches one episode and then decides to watch a second one. I'm always amazed. But cheers, buddy.
Yes.
Yeah. Cheers.
Well, Tucker, would love if it's cool with you, like put in our description. You guys can find Tucker's blog, which we're just looking at before we started. And Nick liked your name, the Tuck Talk. And yeah,
catchy, man.
Yeah.
But everyone check it out in the description.
Absolutely. Thanks. Yeah, that would be great. Whatever you guys want to do.
All 3 followers are going to read it.
Yeah. Hey, that's 3 more that I didn't have them yesterday, so that's great.
So is your book your master's thesis, essentially? Is that something you want
Yeah, we can. So, and I'm sorry, I never finished the agent thing, I guess, but we can round back to that. with a master's in fine arts, I mean, there's a couple ways looking at it. It's a creative work that you do for 3 years or whatever. And in my program, there's fiction, nonfiction writing, or poetry, right? And so, excuse me. And so, like, the whole idea is you write a thesis that's your creative project in whatever genre or whatever writing project you plan on making. So you can do that, and that's what it is, right? And that's the basic requirements. And you have to take some English classes. I think you'll have to take 3 English classes. I've already done them, but I think that's the rule. It's housed in the English department. So this is getting really academic-y, but you do 3 English classes in the English department, then you just do creative writing workshops, where it's essentially like, let's say it's a nonfiction essay writing. So you all hang out, 12 of you, trade writing, and you critique and help each other try to make something out of it.
Nice.
Another way of looking at it is I want to spend this is the way I feel like when I saw a program like this, because to me it's like like artist in residence kind of thing, where you get to work on your stuff and you have time and you do have people to help you kind of work on it, whether that's faculty or other students and stuff. Because it's graduate school, so it's different. Like there are people all over the spectrum. There's people in their 30s, there's people that just did undergrad, went straight to grad. There's people with lots of different experiences and backgrounds. So like it's different than what my undergrad, at least, where everyone's like 18, 19, 20, so on and so forth. And so the other way of looking at it is you are here to try to make something that you want to try to get published or make into something, or you want to try to find, in my case, I'm hoping to go the route where you find an agent and you find a publishing house and editor and all that stuff that kind of gets it out there, or finding other routes of publishing. I mean, I published a couple things online that are kind of echoes of my book. I was writing a lot about the insulin stuff last year. That insulin has been like crazy, like price spike it's gotten up like 400% or something in the last 20 years. It used to be, so insulin is like this thing you need if you're type 1 diabetes to survive. You need 4 vials of it usually every month. And these vials used to just cost like $20 or $18 or something. And now they're costing like $300 for 1 vial. So that can run you to, you don't have insurance, that can cost you like $1,000 a month. And that's impossible for some people. And so like there were all these stories, they're probably still coming out. It's gotten, I guess, a little bit better, and there have been some states that have done some stuff, legislation of capping the price and stuff. But anyways, that's why I got in. So I was writing a lot about that and publishing it, and that's kind of, to me, and I wasn't doing anything close to that before I entered this MFA program. And I also write for the Crimson White, which is like a university newspaper. So I just do some stories for the university, like health and science stories and stuff like that, just to get more clips and stuff. And the Alabama Public Radio definitely helped. I haven't been in there since COVID hit, just because they just didn't want extra student people in there and stuff, and they had to. So yeah, those are the kind of, our program's weird in terms of other master programs, I think, because it's less academic, I think. Like I only have to take 6 credits. Most people have to take 9 credits to be a full-time student. And I think that's because of my graduate like teaching thing, where I'm as an assistant, where I get to teach as well and that kind of thing. I don't know. This probably all sounds really dry and boring, like academic. But
sounds like freedom, man. A little bit of freedom for you.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's pretty awesome. I mean, yeah. So it gives you a lot of avenues and routes. And I met an amazing teacher. She unfortunately is not here. She had to leave on medical leave, but like she's been helping me still even past that. I met her and she's given me a lot of encouragement and insight into my book. And so I think, like, I don't know, for me, it's working out. I don't know if it works that way for everyone, but it just depends what you want. Some people come here and, do some, don't have quite that same ambition with it, but they just want it as a space to write and do research. I don't know. There's like a ton of things people do with it. And some people just do it to get teaching experience. I don't know. Some people are just buying time to get to the next thing because graduate school is a logical thing to do. I assume that's going to happen, especially by this next year, especially with COVID. I feel like it's like when 2008, the housing crisis, everyone went into grad school, right? Or something like that. So I don't know. So So it's a sweet deal, I think. And I mean, I don't know, a free master's, like even just for the paper of that is worth it. But I've gotten a lot of experiences here that I don't think. I was in New York City, the most exciting place to do things, and I could not get even close to that. Part of that was because of my job there, but it was, I feel like I'm getting close. I feel like I'm walking closer to the mountain that I want to be walking towards, if that makes sense.
Well, it is weird that like it was like go to the city to get your dreams, and I think we're finding nowadays that's not so true. Especially with COVID, a lot of people realizing like you're on Zoom anyways, you might as well be somewhere cheap and where you could actually use your finances to stretch your dream. But I'm excited, Nick, and Tucker, I'm excited for Tucker hearing about you going on this writing journey and this passion project, because I remember when I met Tucker on Semester at Sea, sometimes in certain countries we're at, would grab some cigars, and when the boat hit the ocean, or the ship, I should say, we would be on the little like I don't know, patio, balcony, deck area, and would smoke cigars. I'm pretty sure you were there. There's always random people smoking, and you would talk about writing. You'd always talk about writing, and especially comic books. So I believe I've seen a couple social posts, but some comic book stuff still going on with you?
Yeah, dude. I feel like I always have a sci-fi book in me. Yeah, I have started something called the Titan Project like 9 times and just haven't gotten it off the ground. I lose steam with fiction, man. Like I when you have to make it up, like I just like I get excited for like a page, and then it's just like it feels like one of those yoga moves that are difficult. Like I can't do tree pose, right? And it's really difficult to sit in tree pose for too long, and you're just like you're forcing yourself, and it's just not happening. That's what it feels like with that. When I write nonfiction stories, I feel like I'm the most agile yogi of all time, and I could do anything for 40 minutes or whatever. So it's just, but yeah, I don't know. I still love. I have a great comic book shop here in Tuscaloosa. I go to often, and I still read comics. I love sci-fi and fantasy. Love that show on Netflix, The Old Guard. I don't know if you saw that. Oh, it's got Charlize Theron in it. She's like this warrior who's like 1,000. No, wait, she's much older than that, like 10,000 years old or something. Like they can't die. I don't know. It's a cool Netflix. If you like sci-fi fantasy, check it out. But
someone just told me about that last week. Actually, I remember they dropped Charlize's name. But yeah, I hear it's amazing. But I don't know. I'm more of a non-fiction guy. Like if I read, it's usually non-fiction. But I every once in a while drop fiction in there.
Same.
But man, it's exciting. I'm just glad you're going for your dream. I recently quit my job about a month ago. I had
Oh, really? That's exciting.
Yeah, I worked my way up to make like over 90,000 a year, and it was great. And then as soon as I got it, I quit because I was just not happy, man. And I did it for years, design and UI UX, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. You know, we're all going to be old one day. It's going to be hard. It gets harder and harder as you get older to go for things, and especially falling in love and moving on with life. And hell yeah, man. I'm excited for you.
Well, good for you for quitting the job that doesn't make you happy. I like that.
Woo! Scary. Hey, there's a pandemic. Let's quit my job.
Going back to following your dreams, and that's awesome, man. And I actually have my associates was in journalism, and actually my minor is in journalism, and I love writing. I always thought, someday I do want to write a book, but I do feel like you have to experience multiple cultures to be able to get on that platform where you can feel comfortable writing a book, especially on stuff that you don't really know about.
I disagree. Well, you should know about it, but I disagree. I think anyone could write. Everyone has imagination. Everyone has their unique experience.
Right. But I don't know. I feel like if I, traveled like you and Jay have traveled, it'd give me more exposure, which is more inspiration, more kind of knowledge and this type of thing to be able to write on a broader spectrum. I mean, if that makes sense at all.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense to me. I know what you're saying. I think when you get I guess that's what draws me to nonfiction, is because the experiences / subjects kind of are my material, right? And so, which I think in fiction you're doing on some level. I mean, I don't know, we could get into the debate of that, but I think I hear you with going. For me, I get a kick of energy when I go somewhere and experience something, even if it's and I can write about it. Like I'm trying to think of for example, like I mean, I wrote about something that was much more. I wrote about like one of those insulin prices. I interviewed a woman that I found on Twitter named Sarah, or named Sarah. Probably shouldn't say her full name. Oh well, but her name's Sarah. Her name's Sarah, and she had a lot of difficulty affording insulin for years until Iowa passed the Medicaid for all, and she fell into that bracket. And she had a really hard life and had a hard time getting insulin, etc. But like hearing her, like I read all these news stories about the insulin stuff, but I didn't really get a kick and energy of it until I talked to her and got her story over the phone. And I mean, that wasn't even the same as, or even thinking about this, I'm writing this thing about sheep and health insurance. It's a long story, but yeah, my mom in 1995, I'm trying to figure out if this is a true story, but everybody in Wyoming that I talked to said that my mom found an advertisement, or one of her friends did, in this magazine called Wool Growers, that said if you buy X amount of sheep, you'll get health insurance. And my mom in 1995 was divorcing my dad and didn't have health insurance that she could afford for herself to pay for her insulin at the time, and me and my sister who were young little kids. And so the way the story goes is if she bought these sheep, she would get covered by this program or whatever for health insurance until she could figure something else out. And so she did that. She bought like 60-something sheep and got them from North Dakota. I know that. And I found her name in one of the records of the Farm Bureau, but I have not found anything yet that has said that she got like a money for exchange for the wool of the sheep. But I have not found anything that is explicitly said that she got health insurance with it. And a lot of people think it was a special federal program that was just kind of a flash thing or whatever. But like hanging out with these people and talking to these like sheep people, like I emailed someone yesterday with an email that said @sheepusa.com.
See, I told you it was interesting. You just told us about sheep and health insurance.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. And so like, I mean, when I hear that there are these passionate people that care about sheep and stuff, like I can write about that. I feel like, I mean, I'm still gathering information about all this stuff, but I can, and I would love to go hang out with herders and ranchers in USA, which is kind of a dying thing because they hate people who come into it and just use the outdoors for recreation when they're trying to still sell sheep. And how profitable is that still? I don't know. It still kind of is, still isn't. Like, I don't know. It's definitely not what it was in like the 60s and 50s and all that. But.
Can I retract one of my earlier statements on the podcast where I said if you sit down at a bar and they're like, I'm a insurance salesperson, you wouldn't want to talk to them? Because what if they have a connection to sheep? They're like, I'm in charge of the sheep peddle program. Like, what? Sheep and insurance?
How many sheep you need, brother?
Yeah.
I'll take 60.
If you get 60 sheep, you got health insurance. Done. Yeah. It's like, I'm trying to see if I find that fact, it'll be, I mean, I think it's true. It's just, I want to see if I can find an absolute fact. But so I don't know, going back to what you're saying. Yeah. I don't know. I think so I need stuff like that to kind of, because I couldn't make that up. I don't know. Like if I just sat here and thought about it, or if I made it up, it wouldn't sound real. I don't know.
Yeah, totally, man. So I gotta retract back to the insulin price spike. Is that in this country alone? Did you ever do any research outside of this country to see? Because I've read some things here and there that, you know, the insulin prices here are ridiculous, but you can go down to Mexico or something and buy it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way some of these news stories, like there was they called it this is probably untasteful hashtag, but they called it a hashtag caravan to Canada. And so like they took a caravan. I mean, this was when the big caravan was a big issue.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Of coming from Mexico, and they took a caravan to Canada to buy insulin because you can buy the same vials for $20. Even as an American, you can walk into a pharmacy in Canada and buy the same vials that are selling for like $300 for $20. I interviewed a guy here in Alabama. He runs a great music venue here in Birmingham. He's a type 1 diabetic, and he orders his insulin from Canada. It's cheaper for him to order it online and have it shipped in an ice box or some kind of box that keeps it cold. He called it an ice box. It shows up at his front door. And he orders insulin at a time. It was cheaper for him to do that than to do any kind of, he also was like in a band, so he didn't have like traditional health insurance or couldn't afford it. So it's just cheaper for him to do that. Definitely there were, I mean, if you Google it, you can find NBC stories on that. I talked to people in the UK that said it was much cheaper and they were trying to figure out why the US. I mean, it's a long story of why it is, just like the pharmaceutical companies. But the pharmaceutical companies will say it's the insurance companies' fault and then vice versa. And so it just turns into this big, it just goes back to the US healthcare system with a lot. And it's not just insulin, too. I think a lot of prescription essential drugs and medicine is kind of in that same boat of really high prices that are, it was once cheap and now it's not. So it's just kind of, it's a weird thing. I don't know. So, but definitely I've heard, I mean, it's cheaper almost everywhere else on the planet except for here, which is strange. So
sounds about right, AJ.
My dad, a few years ago, he went to Mexico to get all his dental work done.
Yeah. Wow, really?
Yeah, because he had like dentures, and then he's on the sailboat trip now in the Caribbean, but he was like, I just wanted to get like fake teeth put in or whatever.
Right.
And he looked here and he's like, it's just impossible for me to get it here. So he went down there and got it done.
Dude, my wife's family are from San Diego and their dentist is in TJ. You know, that's where they go because it's so much fucking cheaper. And it's like literally 30-minute drive for them.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That is not. I mean, I don't know. It's, I don't know.
Interesting situation too. I was doing a little bit of reading in the Postal Service lack of funding and halting of funding and things like that going on right now. But one of the articles I read, they're mentioning the fact that the United States Postal Service is about 3 weeks behind right now. And so people getting their insulin, getting their medication that's delivered through that program are there's major delays right now.
Are they ever not behind?
Yeah, well, I mean, from what I read, they're like billions of dollars in debt.
I'm
so,
sure.
Yeah, they're struggling for sure. But I mean, people are trying to get their insulin. Damn, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, you can't live very long without it. Like if you're type 1, which is about 1.5 million and 1.8, give or take, Americans with that condition. So and a lot of type 2 people, about 7 million type 2 folks need insulin too. So
now, I kind of, I don't know if you want to go into this, but I read a blurb on your blog, just like a snippet, and it was talking about something about your mom had diabetes and you, for your whole childhood, believed it was a certain type of diabetes or something like that. And then you later learned it was something different.
Yeah. It's like, so that's kind of what the book's about. In a nutshell, it's about how my mom died from type 1 diabetes or from complications of type 1 diabetes, and why that's a different story than the one I knew growing up. So like I always knew she had type 1 diabetes and she had really bad complications that she had for the last like 8 years of her life, basically. Arguably 9 or 10 years. She struggled with like common complications that happen to type 1 folks, like having 2 amputee, part below the knee, paralyzed stomach, bad circulation, like that your body's unable to heal sores and stuff like that. So she had like a full gamut, and she spent probably the last 5 years of life, she probably spent more time in the hospital than she did anywhere else. So it was a tough deal. And I was really young. This kind of started when I was like 16 or whatever, and went until I was 22. And I think when I started kind of writing more about this insulin stuff, and it started out as like I wrote a really small essay or something about the history of the pancreas, like I wanted to know why. I just started with a simple question. I want to know why my mom's pancreas why it killed her, essentially, because what your pancreas is what creates insulin in your body, right? And it's only about 2% of the cells in your pancreas, but those 2% for some reason just get destroyed by your body. It's an autoimmune system or autoimmune disease that happens, and it just happens for no reason. It's hereditary, but it is unexplainable exactly why it happens. Some people think it's an environmental, that's maybe true, but it's still not quite conclusive. So I wanted to know, so I told a quick history of what humans knew about the pancreas leading up to from when they first like started naming the pancreas to the modern. And I was like, I went to Indianapolis last year to hang out with these insulin activists who were trying to push Eli Lilly, who's the big company who makes insulin. They were trying to push so like these activists were trying to push the prices down or protest and that kind of thing, or they're having a big meeting in Indianapolis. And I hung out with them, and I met several type 1 folks who were above 50 years old, and they totally looked fine. They didn't have any complications. So I started wondering why. My mom died when she was 49, and she did not look anything like these. She was in a wheelchair. She was like bedbound. She had lots of problems health-wise, and she needed lots of different medications and drugs, all this stuff to stay alive. And these people are running like marathons and stuff. And I was like, why is that? And so like I started looking more into it. And so the book kind of retells this discovery. And I mean, I don't know if I should give away too much, but it's kind of goes into why my mom, how she managed her blood sugars. And when you have diabetes, it's all about managing your blood sugar. So you want to stay in the range of like, let's say 65 and 130 is your normal range. Our bodies can do that. No problem. I'm assuming both of you don't have type 1 diabetes, but
not yet.
Yeah. And so like all three of us our pancreas does that for us, and it moves the sugar to the cells it needs to go to, or it'll insert that into our bloodstream and take away the sugar out of there. My mom, I think, rode pretty high. And so like all the complications she had was because of poorly managed diabetes, which was not part of the narrative that I knew about until like last year. When she died, I thought she was completely healthy, did all she could, she always managed her diabetes well. But then after talking to my grandparents and finding her journals and finding her medical records, that story is no longer the same one. So like it makes me look at my mom a little bit differently, and also just her relationship with her health. Because I think she did it all on her own kind of thing, but she did some amazing things with it. She had 2 kids when it was recommended to not have 2 kids, because it really throws your whole body into flux. And I think she did a really good job of controlling her blood sugars during those times. So like that's part of the story too. So looking at I think my mom struggled with her blood sugars the whole time. And she didn't maybe give it the strongest care that I thought she did when I was younger. So that's it looks at me discovering that and trying to understand that, and then looking at inside of this understanding and kind of revelation of what happened to my mom, I'm telling also the story of diabetes and like hopefully the story of insulin, because that's if you had type 1 diabetes before 1923, you'd probably die soon. Like because without insulin, you will not survive. It's almost impossible to keep your blood sugars in the normal range. So for that long of time. So in that, I'm inserting all these kind of research. And then I found out all these other stories like the sheep and the insurance, which also kind of overlaps with the health kind of aspect of it. Because I think health is kind of the undertone theme of the whole book, and trying to figure out my mom's relationship to health. And it was a very flawed, but I think many of us have weird relationships with our health, right? So, or like it's tough to always do the right thing. And it's harder for a type 1 diabetic to always do the right thing, I think. So,
and they get judged a little harder for it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think my mom kept a lot of secrets and stuff. And the thing is, that's really amazing. She hid all this from me and my sister. I don't think we really knew about it. I mean, and she also had like a kidney transplant in 1999 that her mother, my grandmother, gave to her. So like that was really early age. She was 38 when that happened. So that was really early. I found out. Usually that doesn't happen until much later in life if you get a kidney transplant. So like that means her blood sugars were bad before all that happened. And I don't know, I'm still trying to figure out if that was because the disease, the version of her disease, or it was something on her end with how she managed it. So I don't know.
The book is kind of about this journey, though, that you're rediscovering all these things about your mom through journals.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Journals, interviews, going back to the places she lived / where I lived, and interviewing people about diabetes, all that stuff. So I'm just trying to understand diabetes, because I think when I was younger, I didn't understand how and why that was happening. I just thought this happened. I didn't know any other type 1 diabetics when I was like 21, 2019. I really didn't until I'm 30. So it's like, I didn't really understand how diabetes works, how blood sugars work, how if you have a high blood sugar for a long period of time, that can lead to complications. I mean, one example is my mom I found out my mom, I don't know if you know what an A1C score is. It's like your report card of how well your blood sugars are. You want to score a 6 or a 7 on it. My mom was consistently scoring the double digits, like 12 and 14, so double what you want. And so of course, if you're scoring that type of A1C, these complications are going to happen much earlier in life. Like usually they would happen if they're going to happen, like when you're in your 60s or 70s. But it was happening to my mom in her 40s, in late 30s. So,
well, two things, Tucker. It seems like you're a well-rounded, cool guy. So your mom obviously took care of you. So good for her, man. And
thanks. Yeah.
I mean, I know some diabetics in the Central Valley. Have kind of given up, I think, because I know this guy, who's already had some amputations done and like still smokes meth every day. Right? Well, it's like,
yeah,
and it's like just giving up. It seems, right? It's like, well, here I am in this situation, and doesn't seem like I'm going to be able to get out of it. So fuck it.
Did he start smoking meth because of this, or always?
Yeah, always. Well, from what I understand, always. But I mean, I've only known him in maybe 6-7 years. But yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. I think that's true for a lot of like really intense alcoholics. What keeps them drinking? Like, I mean, addiction's a whole nother thing, but it's like it's everyone's got a different way of how they interact with their body and stuff. So I don't know. It's I think that's exactly the point. Like you on the outside, you're like, why you keep doing that? And they keep doing it. So that's what I'm trying to get at, try to figure out what makes people keep doing those things, even if they know. Because I think my mom knew this stuff, but kept doing it. So
are you almost finished with the book? Are you in the middle of it? How's that going?
I think I'm kind of in the middle. I don't know if you can see. You can kind of see my I've got this huge map out kind of thing going on, and I've got the word quest put on to keep you going. Actually, well, I'll tell that story in a second, but I'm probably about in the middle. I have written about 70 or 80 pages of a start and I've got a book outline going, because for a nonfiction book, a lot of times to get an agent, you need it depends on the agent, but you might need anywhere from like 10 pages to 50 pages of a sample. You send it to them and a book outline of where you think the book's going to go. And so I have that. I'm just like sharpening it up, and I'm also trying to I'm sending it out to other people to kind of give me a second eyes and opinions on it and stuff. So I think in the next 2 months I'm going to start that dating for an agent. So and so from there it's like, okay, you find someone who believes in it, and I've got I've kind of got a map for it, and I've got different parts of that map kind of filled out. But so I would say at this point, like halfway through, I think I know a lot of because a lot of some of it's just straight kind of memory stuff, and the others are more reporting kind of journalism. Like the sheep and insurance thing, I can feel it's becoming more of a thing. Like I'm gonna interview more people or gain more information from government records or whatever. So I don't know. So it's fun.
After your book, you're going to make a documentary, because it sounds just like the best documentary ever. Because you always want to watch a documentary and learn a little bit more about something. That interesting turns and twists, and the whole dynamic between you and your mom, and rediscovering these journals and stuff like that. So it sounds good, man.
Yeah, well, thanks. I don't know. I mean, I keep voice notes. I just bought a recorder, my first expensive recorder to maybe do. I've thought about going into more radio and doing, because after working for Alabama Public Radio, it's been fun to kind of try different sound and do reporting. I did some reporting for them, and that was kind of interesting. And so I might, record. It might be an audio documentary, if anything. We'll see.
Is it a Zoom recorder?
Yeah. No. It's a Tasha. I don't know what it's called. A Tascom. I should know the brand. I guess I don't know what Zoom recorder means. Is that like with this? Like the?
No. They have the handheld Zoom recorders. ZOOS. Same name, actually.
The same company?
No, not same.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it just actually came out with their X6, which is a badass voice recorder. Yeah.
Well, Tucker, that's how we actually got Tucker on the podcast. He randomly hit me up and was like, "Hey, I watch a podcast. Makes you want to have a cigar and a drink," and then which a lot of people say, which is great, because that's the vibe I was hoping for. But he was like, "What kind of equipment are you using?" And we should have some affiliate links in the description. We're bad about trying to make money off this. But, yeah, Rodecaster Pro, man. The Rodecaster Pro is pretty cheap and simple for recording audio. Video gets a little interesting, but audio alone, man, Rodecaster, $600, I think it costs.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I don't know.
I mean, I might go that route. I mean, I'm looking for a mic too. I have a Tascam. I just thought of it, but I think those are what you got. Like, that's a great setup for like a mini studio.
These are really cheap. They're podcast mics, pod mics, I think they call them. And we got a fancier mic we use for guests every once in a while when we're in house, but COVID's kind of But yeah, I don't even know how much these mics were, but they were pretty cheap. Yeah.
Well, and going back to the documentary thing, every good documentary has sheep in it for some reason.
Can you name one? I mean, what's the list? Like, what are your top 5 sheep documentaries?
I don't know. That just came out. You know what I think of when I think sheep? I think of you remember Blood Diamond? That movie Blood Diamond?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the sheep, the diamonds and the sheep. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I was thinking about Tiger King. They had tigers. I don't know if they had sheep.
Yeah. I had a big crush on Jennifer Connelly for a long time. The character in that movie for a long time. I think her name's. I didn't go. Yeah. It's hard to actually go on a date with someone who's a fantasy character, but.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been trying to get Kira on a date for a while. I just haven't.
We did have a podcast about stimulating the mind and making reality out of your thoughts. So, hey, you never know.
Oh, the gateway experience. Hey, Tucker, you want to get a little here. Have you looked into the gateway experience? It's kind of a conspiracy, but it's the CIA documents are released about meditation and out-of-body experiences.
No, I don't know what that. I have not heard about that, but no.
Well, we'll say that for some other time. But it's interesting. Check it out. Gateway Experience is about 39 pages or something of a document that was released, and just talks about Buddhism and meditation and not using substances to have out-of-body experiences.
Well, it's like going into other dimensions using your mind's power and the power grid and energy grid that the Earth gives off.
The frequencies.
The frequencies.
It's pretty crazy that the CIA released it, but they're like, yeah, there's progress here.
Interesting. That makes me think of the Argo story or whatever, like the one story the CIA let out. Or it makes me think of, if we're talking about conspiracy, have you heard of this Winds of Change podcast?
No.
Where they try to, the whole podcast, the song Winds of Change by Scorpions, I guess.
Oh, it's been forever. I'm sure I've listened to it. Scorpions.
Like, it starts with like a whistle. I can't do it. Winds of Change. I can't sing.
Get it, Tucker.
Yeah. Hey, if there's one thing I can't do, it's singing. But it's a from 1990, but it's an English rock. It's a German rock band who sings in English. And so that's the Scorpions. I don't know. They sung "Rock You Like a Hurricane." I'm sure you know that one. Yeah.
For the 70s, I think. Or 80s?
Yeah.
Probably 80s.
Yeah, I think they're an 80s hair band for sure. But they had this song called "Winds of Change," and there was this rumor that the guy on the podcast that starts it with that this song came from the CIA. It was written by the CIA and pushed because it came out right as the Soviet Union was falling apart. It was made as a propaganda song to try to change Soviet. But I don't know. Like, I won't spoil it, but
I think it's connected to this whole conspiracy about up in Valencia, which is north of LA, pretty far. Valencia, California. There's some valley north of LA. It might not be Valencia, but there's getting my conspiracies mixed up here. But there's all the people that were famous in the 60s and 70s that were bands. Their parents were like in government officials and Air Force and high ranking things, and they all like push this music towards a direction. I don't know if there's any fact to it, but it's a fun story.
It was probably some big LSD project.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's like Jimi Hendrix and all that. But Tucker, so I met Tucker on Semester at Sea, but if I really remember Tucker a lot is another former guest of ours was Lindsey Bogen. I don't know if you know that, Tucker. She was on here.
Oh, really? I didn't know she was on here. Yeah, I know Lindsey Bogen. Yeah, I haven't talked to her in like 10 years, but yeah, I know who she is. Yeah.
She living in a van in Colombia. Well, she's living in a van with her new husband, who's from originally Peru, I think, and she was down there for either the Peace Corps or just Lindsey's living somewhere always, like some other country. But she got married and they moved into a Volkswagen van and they're driving the Pan Am Highway. And they got to Colombia before COVID hit and they've been kind of stuck on a farm out there. I think they're still somewhere in Colombia trying to get out.
Oh, shit.
Columbia's
Wow.
But we had her on during our Zoom days when we first started this. We just did over Zoom. We didn't have mics or anything. And but me and Lindsey became buddy, and we were like India on this semester at sea trip. We're getting ready to go to India, and we're like, me and her being kind of slackers, like we don't got on a trip. And I think we're in the library looking at Lonely Planet, and Tucker was there, I believe, or something. I don't know. My memory's a little blurry, but me, Tucker, and Lindsey went did some trips in India in Alleppey.
I don't know if that's how you even say it. Yeah.
Waters of India, the backwaters, I believe they call them, and got on this houseboat, and there was two Indian guys. One was a chef, and one was like a thing. And these boats look sick as fuck. They're like, I don't know, made out of hay or some shit. Straw. And then we just like hung out. And actually, I am a published writer too, Tucker.
What? Really?
Toothbrush people. Remember that?
That's awesome.
One of the stories was from me, you, and Lindsey. We pulled into a port in India. This is the state of Cochin, I believe. Wasn't Chennai?
Yeah, it was or was it Kerala?
Kerala, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And
in the southwest, I guess, of India.
Yeah. And so we went, backpacked out there and then got on the boat, and then we stopped. And do you remember the night, which is a very important, just a cool night that's always in my memory of travels, that we went to this little shed or bar, or I don't know what it was. And we sat outside on these like plastic tables, and they brought some guys in that sat across from us. And one was a music teacher. And we started sharing songs. And me, Lindsey, and Tucker are not the most musical people to share songs. But I taught them Ozzy Osbourne, I Am Iron Man, because that's all I knew. And they taught us their falsetto, I think.
Jay, I do remember this completely. I remember a few things. I don't know if you remember this. So number one, they brought this coconut beer that was hot. I feel like it was almost boiling. It was
disgusting.
It was horrible. I don't know if it even had alcohol in it, but it was terrible. Well, that's good. And then also, I think Jay, you sung a solo on your own. I mean, correct me if you're wrong, but this is how I remember it. You sung Bob Marley, Three Little Birds.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, because my Jason Masalafua was a Samoan friend of ours we grew up with who passed away when we were younger. So that song was kind of like his song.
Good job.
But I remember singing because I was like, I'm not a music guy. I could really keep rhythm to this day. But laying their knuckles on this table and this coconut beer, which honestly I took one sip. I was like, I like to drink, and I drink anything. I can't do this. An hour goes by, I'm downing them like nothing. But it was a fun, amazing experience of two different cultures trying to share music somehow, and three non-music people trying to do our best.
I even remember talking with one of those guys. I mean, I don't remember any of these dudes' names and they were like so obsessed with John Keats. Which is the romantic poet who died of tuberculosis, like classically in 18 something. But I was kind of obsessed with John Keats at that moment, like his writings and letters and stuff. And that dude knew we chatted about John Keats the whole time. In fact, I don't know if I remember. Now this is all coming back to me. I think I tried calling my grandmother on one of his phones, and I think I got her on the phone because I hadn't talked to. I'd only done email. This was 2010. So I don't know. Now I could probably walk in with a fucking smartphone and just, ping a message or send a picture or a video or whatever of us singing Three Little Birds and hanging out. But I think on one of his little Nokia brick phones, I called my grandmother. But I'm not 100% if that's true or not. I'd have to ask my grandmother. I don't know.
Yeah. Because I remember writing, because the guy forced me to do the falsetto, and I was like, I can't do it. He's like, do it. And I was like, and he taught me, and I did it until I memorized it in my head. And I had it memorized for almost 2 years after that, but not now. But I have it written in my journal. And I wrote that. They had a competition for this book called Toothbrush People on Semester at Sea. And I just jotted that down. I misspell everything. My grammar's horrible. And it made it into the book. You know, I don't know if they're still selling the book. I think they sold 3 copies or something. But yeah, it's I have the book, and I always like go back to that. And I'm like, that was Lindsey.
That's amazing. I think I remember that, Jane. The toothbrush prepo makes me think. I think I remember hearing about that or seeing that. That's pretty awesome.
But that was, I think you planned that trip. I think that was all you, man, if I remember correctly.
I had fun doing that. It was kind of fun to go. I mean, it was a different time, dude. Like, I can't imagine doing it now. Like, we went to the library, or I went to the library and went and looked at Lonely Planet and like just said, okay, we've got this many days. How hard is it to get to this place? What do we need? We need a plane ride, or we need a boat, whatever. Like, do you want to do this? Like, that was one of my favorite parts of semester at sea, I guess. I don't know what I learned on that trip. I mean, that trip's so crazy when I think about it.
Semester at sea in general, or that?
Yeah, the whole thing is insane. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's like, because it's a mix of people. Like, you got people who it was an easy check to write, and then you got people like, I mean, I scrapped on there on scholarships. I really didn't know what I was doing there, but I was like, yeah, I'll go on semester at sea if I can.
Yeah. The way I describe it is it's a lot of rich kids, if I had to guess. A lot of rich kids that go on there, and then a few of us stragglers. And they got some people from other countries, but I was in the 4-person room next to the motor, and I'm still paying for that trip, Tucker. I'm still paying it off. But it was a trip of a lifetime, man.
Jay, it's okay. I still have I have a few $1,000s left on that trip too, so don't worry about it. I also chose poor career choices where I did not make a lot of money. I did the Peace Corp too, and that makes you 0 money. So, and then I also do.
Oh, sorry. I think we lost your audio, Tucker. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, you came back. You're good. Came back.
Okay, sorry about that.
So how much of an asshole was Jay at semester at sea?
Oh, Jay was, he was great. He was amazing. Yeah, I got along with Jay great. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I remember our India trip pretty well. I feel like we hung out a lot on the ship. I definitely remember, I feel like, did we hang out in Brazil too? No.
Oh, we did. Yeah, I think I have a picture. Brazil was kind of like the last country before we got back to Florida, which was like the end point. So I think we, like a lot of us, were trying to get together and and stuff like that, Brazilian barbecue and shoot pool and stuff. And I think I have a picture of me, you, and a couple of the other guys playing pool with some Brazilian people.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, Jay was great. I mean, I think we got along great. I mean, I hate how America is, how big it is. I wish we could hang out more.
Oh, man, it's so cool. Like there's a few people that stand out. Tucker's like one of those personalities. I remember you in San Diego the first night. So we met in San Diego.
Really?
Took a bus down to Ensenada and then boarded the ship to start the 4-month excursion. But Tucker, everyone met at this fireplace, and it was awkward. No one knew each other, and it was in this hotel in San Diego. And I remember Tucker was correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you were one of the few people to like stay almost the whole night, because it was a big crowd and it started dying off as the booze was flowing through. But I think Tucker was one of the ones still by the fire at the end of the night. And I was like, oh, this guy's interesting. He's going hard. Yeah.
This was in San Diego?
Yeah, am I totally wrong? Was I thinking of someone else? We're by a fire pit in the back.
I mean, that sounds like me, so I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a good, I mean, hopefully this wasn't a mark on what I was drinking. And I don't really remember Sandy. I remember getting to that hotel. I don't know. I remember the bus ride, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's farther back in the memory now. I don't know. But that sounds like me, so it's probably me.
Well, do you remember if Jay ever mentioned starting a podcast or doing anything like that? No?
Yeah, he said 10 years from now, I want to be smoking cigars and drinking liquor and podcast. No one knew the word podcast.
I don't think I listened to podcasts back then.
Yeah,
I was the same on the ship. I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't talk to my family through email here and there if I could get the internet card or whatever. But
yeah, man, I didn't have a smartphone until I got out of Peace Corp, which was 2015. So I feel like I was like late to the game. I was rocking Nokia bricks, and I had that Juke for a while. I don't know if you guys remember that phone.
Oh yeah,
Juke. It almost looks like a switchblade. I really miss it's like the creativity of some of these flip phones. I really miss that. Like
but I don't know.
Amazing.
That's The snake game on the Nokia brick was.
Oh, yeah, dude. Snake game. Oh, you can have competitions across people. When I was in Peace Corps, everyone had a snake game record, like how well you could do it. And it gets difficult. Like, I don't know. You wear out that little pad on the thing. Yeah.
Especially in the Peace Corps. Where were you at? Were you in Mongolia?
Yeah, I was in Mongolia. Yeah. Yep. I lived there for 2 years. I was stationed in the Gobi Desert in the southeast region, kind of close to. Well, it's all close to China, but it was close to, like, it was on a train route. So it was on the train route to Beijing. So it was probably 15, 16 hours, something like that, from Beijing by train. That's the easiest thing. I was 10 hours by train from the capital of Mongolia, which is Ulaanbaatar, or UPE.
And you were riding a horse through the steppes, just like a badass.
I wish. I rode a horse at one point, and camels. I was in the desert, so camels were the big thing. Ate camel meat. That was a big deal. So, like, it was the cheapest red meat you could get at my meat market. You gotta love Mongolian stores. They're just right up front what they say with you, like, meat store. Okay, great. No, it's not called a name or anything. It's nothing fancy, just meat store. And when you walk in, it's just fucking meat. It's just everywhere. And it smells like iron, like blood just is flowing. There's flies, and there's women there, and they're like, I want a kilometer of camel meat, which I don't know if I even know how to say anymore. Oh God. Tahani, no, let's see. No, I don't want to fuck it up. Tafri mach mich Nick kilometer, which is, I just fucked that up badly, but that was camel, one kilometer of camel meat. So, which is a woman who's working behind the stall would have this big pile of meat. There's fat everywhere. There's maybe some fur somewhere, like a hide. We'll just take a knife. They've got no gloved hands. We'll just take a knife and, like, chop it off, throw it in a black plastic bag, put it on the scale, and just get it right, and then hand it to you. Then you hand the turig, it's like the currency there, to them, and they grab it with the same hand they've been using all day. And so you make sure that meat is cooked.
Yeah.
So you don't mess it up.
Pre-COVID.
Oh, pre-COVID. Who knows? Maybe now it's a whole different world. I don't know. Yeah.
So you were in the Gobi Desert?
Yeah.
That desert's got like a record, right? It's like am I making this up?
It's the coldest desert. I don't know if that's the record. They're known for their sandstorms. They're like something out of a movie. I don't know. The sandstorms, literally in the spring, they black out the sun. It looks like that movie, The Mummy. I don't know if you've seen that, right? Where you see this huge cloud coming, like this wall. I mean, huge wall covers the sky. And they shut school down for the sandstorms. There's probably like 3 or 4, like, a year that you can't leave your home because they're so bad.
You experienced that?
Yeah. I mean, I was in my apartment. Like, you get a weather report, like, oh, today's going to be a sandstorm. And, like, okay, make sure you have groceries. Okay.
Wow.
Sorry, go ahead. Oh, no, that's it. Yeah.
So you were like in a city, or was it more like a small community, or how?
It was like a town. It was about maybe almost 20,000 people. So it was kind of big. It was like off a railroad town. So, like, there were schools there. There was a train college there and a medical school for whatever reason. I don't know why there was a medical school, really. I mean, they were a 1-floor institute with a wooden floor. Like, so it was just, and they hired me. I went there. Peace Corps was paying. I was not paid from them, but I went in there and taught English to some of the brighter students who wanted to learn English. So it was, I mean, it was a bigger town, but it was really, it looked like a desert. It looked like Tatooine. Like, when you see where was Tatooine filmed, or Star Wars filmed in Tunisia? It looked like that quite a bit. Like, just Mars. Flatland, some, like, kind of Mars, lots of orange ground. You got these, like, turtleback kind of black mountains out in the far distance and stuff. So
Now you didn't with Peace Corps. You don't really know where you're going. You kind of have a general idea, or you have like a wish list, right? You ask for certain places, but there's no guarantee.
Yeah, I was one of the last years where they just kind of send you wherever, but now you can choose, and you can pick. From my understanding, you can pick 3, and you'll get one of those 3. When I signed up, I was so desperate to get in because I was like really poor, working in an AmeriCorps job in Portland, Oregon, and was just so hyped up to just get out and get into the Peace Corps and get away. I don't know. I was really messed up too. I was 23. My mom had just died, didn't know what I was doing, and was just like, I don't know what I want to be. I don't want to be a high school teacher. Or I don't know. That was like my anti-me, what I felt like being. And so like I was just trying to figure it out. Peace Corps sounds adventurous. Let's do that. You get to do like teaching experience, humanitarian work, that kind of thing, live in another place. So I just signed up and I was just like, send me anywhere. And Mongolia was the anywhere.
What were your thoughts when you rolled up to the desert or when you found out?
Well, I mean, because you do 3 months of training before you find out where you're going. And it's just like big dramatic thing where they say where you're going. And I was like, oh man, the deserts? Damn, I don't know. Like, so, I mean, I don't know. It was fine. I think I had a really good site. I had a good school. I lived on the train, so I had easy access to things, and I had more supplies than a lot of people do. But when I talked to other people in my cohort who had places where they got their water from the river every day, and like, I don't know, they had a very different, and it was green, really green. Something like I miss green. Like it was so. I remember seeing one tree in my town was called Sashin, and it had some leaves on it. It was green. I was just so shocked. Like it was just a big deal. And it rained only once there the whole 2 years I was there. So like I miss stuff like that. Being in a place like Alabama, it's like the opposite. It's green. It's like a swampland. It rains every like 3 days. So I don't know. I mean, it was an experience to live in a desert area. Deserts have their own beauty. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was a challenge, but I'm glad I took it up. Like, I think I got a lot out of it. I mean, I got to the point, I was one of the only Americans there too. So like or any foreigner there. So it was, so I had to use a lot of Mongolian, and I learned Mongolian. I can't really speak it well at all anymore. I mean, I was probably middle of the pack in terms of good in speaking Mongolian in my cohort, but it was a good experience. I think I like to learn our language. It's great. Like, I don't know. Not that I will do it again. We'll see. But
well, fuck, man, you did 2 years. That's pretty damn good. So was that your decision to do 2 years, or do you sign up for 2 years?
2 years, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's usually 2. Yeah, I just did the traditional. It's 2-year thing. A lot of people do 3. You can't, but it's 2's your commitment. So
okay.
Yeah, I just did the 2. It was good.
So 2 years it doesn't, I guess when you're like just living your life out, it doesn't seem like a long time, but when you're moving somewhere completely different, especially you're only American, maybe, I don't know, very limited English speakers, I don't know, but is there like a year in, is there like a year and a half in, 6 months in where you're like, I'm done, I gotta like get out of this, but I need to finish this? Or is it just you accept it and you just go on?
Yeah, I mean, if you get to a year, it's like I can do one more. I don't know. I mean, I think for me, I describe it always as a marathon, right? It's like you hate some miles, but you like some miles. But for me, when I got to the end of the miles, end of the 2 years, I was ready to sit down and do something else. So like I wasn't like a lifetime runner with it. And I was ready to do the next thing or whatever. I don't know if I don't know if I fit necessarily with for long term with Mongolia culture, but I liked it. I really enjoyed it, and I got a lot out of it. I learned a lot of great people, and I think I learned a lot about myself. And I mean, I don't know. It felt like I learned a lot about living in a developing country where things are just way different. And so I don't know. That was, I think, really powerful and good. But there were definitely days you go like because in Peace Corps you can tap out at any point and they'll send you home. You're gonna pay for that flight home anyways, so it's like you can wake up the next day and say, I'm done, I can't do this, I'm sorry. You have to give reasons, you have to do an exit interview. It's bureaucratic up the wazoo like any government thing, but you can get out easily. And I mean, that thought passed my mind, but it it never was strong enough to make me want to do it necessarily. I don't know, because like people like my girlfriend who also did the Peace Corps, but she did it in Guyana, and she was there for 5 years total. She did 2 years, then went back and worked there as a regular teacher in her community for 3 more years. So like she had a very different connection with it, and so it's different for everyone, I think. I mean, that's true for a lot of stuff, right? Like, I mean, grad school, even like it's different for whoever enters the program, but I know that there were people that quit midway through, or there's a medical reason or whatever. Like there's a lot of people that say I'm done, or so it passes through people's mind. It's not easy. Sometimes it's especially hard if you go to a site that doesn't work with you and you're just like watching South Park every day or whatever that you've got on a jump drive. So like it's that, like, I mean, or you're not engaging with it, or you're not getting anything out of the community that you've come to help, and you're just falling into these loops. And Mongolia can get tough too because of the winter, because I went through a December to January where it didn't get above 0 for like 6 weeks. So hence coming to Alabama, I needed like a fake winter, right? So like it's you can like if you're stuck in this like winter, those intense winters keep Mongolians inside the whole time, right? So it's I think that's kind of what at least for Mongolia, Peace Corps people, that's what drove people out of there, I think. So if they tapped out. But
now just out of curiosity, I don't know, it's a random question that obviously popped in my head, but it's like obviously like Mongolia and China's like histories are kind of intertwined here and there. And is what are the views of China like in Mongolia, like when you were there? Is there any type of view? Is it just another country, or is there still like a strong influence?
Like from the Chinese, like from a Chinese perspective, or from Mongolian?
Mongolian perspective.
I don't know. It's an interesting relationship they have. Most Mongolian, your everyday common Mongolian, will say China sucks. Or, I mean, I'm really paraphrasing and generalizing. So if a Mongolian's watching this, I'm just saying.
You have a huge group in Mongolia that watches it.
The idea is that you don't like Chinese things. There was a funny moment where someone sent me a care package of school supplies. Like I was dying for Sharpies, like just something like pens, computer paper, like just basic stuff, right? I got these pencils, and the teachers I was with who were all Mongolian grabbed these pencils. They're like, "Oh, are these American pencils?" And I said, "Yes, they are," because I was thinking they were bought in America. and they look at the side, and guess what it says? Made in China. And they're like, "Oh fuck," or like I don't want to use that pencil. Like, are you serious? It's just And so like I think that was a crashing moment for them. Like, oh yeah, most of America's goods are made not in America, and that is pretty funny. It was made in China, sent to America, and then someone, my aunt, put it in a package, sent it back to just north of China. So,
now is that kind of view because of the historical standards, or what's going on today?
Yeah. I think it is complete history. I mean, a lot of Mongolians, I think it's common for people to think history is closer than it was, like Genghis Khan, or how do you say it in America? Genghis Khan? Yeah.
Right, Genghis.
I say Genghis Khan. I don't know if that's how you say it, I guess, in Mongolia. But like they went to war with China, and China's like terrible. Everything in China's made is terrible, even though China's like so much more robust and powerful. I mean, Mongolia's got a country of 3 million people. 500,000 people that live in the capital. Other like about 30 or 40% are nomadic herders. Like, so different dynamics, but like of course a lot of these Mongolians don't have the same access to information that like most Americans do or whatever. So like they create their narratives from oral history, right? And so like the idea that China is much more there's a lot of hate towards China because of the wars that were fought with like many years ago, like 1,000 years ago or whatever, in 2000, whatever that was. So like it was those same stories are hung around. I mean, I had teachers that I was hanging out with that thought that dinosaurs were alive 300 years ago, 400, 1,200 years ago, right? So that's like the level of education. Or you've never heard of the Holocaust, right? I mean, that's kind of like the kind of who would have like you'd see swastikas as kind of like, 'cause the swastika used to be a Buddhist kind of symbol. Like that would be on a car or something, and it was just thought of as a boot, like it wasn't, because no one really knew about Nazi Germany, so like stuff like that, that just comes down to what people know and stuff, and it's like this old history. But then you look at the business class or investment class, whatever, of Mongolia, where they're mining a lot of gold, and it shoots their GDP up over the last 10 years. They sell that gold to back to China, and they make money from China pays, or like they send people from university there, or vice versa. So like there's this weird economic exchange, but a lot of these people like in Sanchin or wherever Mongolia, aren't aware of that kind of exchange, even though it's happening, and maybe indirectly that money is helping their country / helping them in whatever way. So like it's this kind of strange relationship they have, I think. But in most cases, they have more friendliness towards Russia, which Stalin sent in and killed like 20,000 Mongolians at one point. Tried to stomp out Buddhist religion, which is very practiced there, like, and killed a lot of monks and stuff in the early 20th century. So like they're friendlier to people like Russia, where China has done nothing like that in recent memory. Of course, there was the wars where Mongolia, like nomadic warriors, went down and took over what is now Beijing and all that stuff, but like 1,000 years ago, right? So
there's a great, Hollywood obviously, but great TV show on Netflix, Marco Polo.
Yeah.
You ever watch it? They only did 2 seasons. I was so disappointed because I got so involved.
I know. There are some Mongolian actors in that, which is great. So it's all about some of that stuff. So.
It's Americanized it, but Genghis's grandson, I believe, was the main. Get the actor's name. He was phenomenal.
Yeah, no, it's great. And what's funny too, I think a lot of those actors are Chinese too. So it's like another. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I ever knew any. At least this was 2013 to 15. Didn't know any Mongolians who'd seen that show, but all the Americans had watched that. I mean, we were watching Game of Thrones too and all that shit. But so. Game of Thrones, no one talks about that anymore. I feel like it's like fallen out. It's almost been forgotten. I don't know if you guys watched it. I'm assuming, but I don't know. But
I'm an asshole like this. I watched. I heard everyone at work talk about it. Everyone's obsessed with it, and generally when everyone's telling you to watch something, I tend not to watch it. It's like when that one like dude in the dark corner of the office, like, you should watch this. I'm like, all right. But I watched it probably a couple years later, and I watched 3 seasons, and I was like, this is amazing. I got it. I'm going to stop at 3 seasons. And a lot of people got mad at me. No,
that was the smart thing to do. You could have done 1 more and you'd been fine, but after 4, do not do it. That's great, Jake. Good practice there. That's good.
I never watched one of those.
Yeah, they're good. You'll get sucked in. But it's
you don't need past season 4. Trust me. It's
really. I need 1 more season then.
You could do 1 more season without being disappointed. So.
Okay. Interesting.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the relationship. I mean, I don't know. I'm not an expert. I mean, who knows what it's like now? It's especially probably fraught right now. I mean, Peace Corp, right, like canceled. They sent everybody home since COVID hit. And especially Mongolia team, they sent out early, I think, because they were so close to Wuhan at the time, like December, January and stuff. So,
wow. Well, kind of going off the other thing you talked about was the swastika, which was a Buddhist symbol, which is crazy now. Most people that I guess, how do I say this? Most of the world's population identifies it with Nazi Germany. And I was doing some late night, because I'm an insomniac, late night going down the internet rabbit holes of symbolism, and it was talking about the swastika. It was an early 1900s book. I forget the author. He was like a Freemason or something. I don't know. And then he was talking about symbolism and history, and how that symbol was like the most widespread symbol ever up until that point. And that the cross, pre-Christianity cross, which was in the Egyptian, usually has a little loop on top. And I guess it kind of represented affinity. I don't know. But it's interesting how symbols get reused and re-trademarked. Because I remember in San Francisco, some buildings had these like swastika designs. It wasn't really a swastika, but they were like old Buddhist temples and stuff that were like pre-war. But it's
Interesting.
it's very interesting.
Yeah, no.
On semester at sea, I'd be like in China and I'd see like these bells and these like stone sculptures with swastikas all around. I was like, what? It's like in this Buddhist like monastery. But actually just reminds me, I got to sidebar this. Tucker always talked, I believe it was you, that Tucker always talked about writing a book, which I didn't get at the time, but I totally got like a few months later. It was called Don't Take Me to Another Temple. You remember that? Because every temple's like the same.
Are you serious?
It's like a Catholic church, like the beautiful Catholic churches in Europe. Once you've seen one, you kind of.
Hey, you're awakening some old memories. I did not remember that until you just brought that up.
Might have made it up. I don't know. But I always thought that should be a book because that's how I felt. I moved to Europe after semester at sea, and it was the same thing with the church.
Well, I mean, remember some of those temples in India? Like they had neon signs on them. Like I don't know, like
tourist traps or something.
Like I mean, it's weird. It's like Disneyland. Like I don't understand Disneyland. I plan on never. I went when I was 8. That's That's probably the best time to go. But like I don't. I mean, I'm sorry if you're Disneyland fans. If I'm offending you guys, but like that, and there's just like a weirdness that I can like overanalyze and think about. But like, I don't know. There are like I'm thinking about those tourist traps where you pay like $10 to see this thing. I think about I've never been to this place, but I'm gonna mess it up. It's a big waterfall in Argentina, Brazil border. Have you heard of this? Like, it's a big famous waterfall.
Victoria Falls. No.
That would work though. That one's in Tanzania, I think, in Africa. So like, we'll just say that one, Victoria Falls, huge waterfalls, right? What's the one in Canada? I should know this.
Niagara.
I almost said Nicaragua, which is the country. Sorry. Niagara, Victoria Falls, whatever. A nice site like that, right? Where lots of tourist traffic. I had a friend who went to the one in Argentina once, who is an artist. He's like a sketch artist, does watercolors and stuff like that. And he said he was there all day doing sketches, hanging out, watching the waterfalls. And he would just see these tourists who would, come from all over the planet Earth, to come see these waterfalls, click, like 10 minutes, gone. So, and I think about, I don't know, when I was pretty stupid at 21 on semester at sea. So like, I don't know what I was trying to get at with another temple, but I think thinking about like these places where they're overtrodden, kind of, I don't know, this is maybe overthinking about it, but we all get these places where you go and you see, I don't know, like it's not experiencing it really, I don't know, or soaking, beautiful waterfalls, right? Like amazing. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you're supposed to experience it. Like you're only going there because, but that's how I would go. I mean, that's how we did the boat ride. I found the guidebook. I don't know. So I don't know. It's like a tricky thing.
Yeah, and I think a lot, like we kind of discussed this. Nick is like starting to travel a bit here and there, and we talked about the resorts. And I think like a lot of people that travel, if you say Disneyland, they kind of understand it. Where I realize like a lot of people back home in our little towns, like Disneyland's awesome. What do you mean? And like, and I remember thinking like, oh, look at this LA area. It's like all new, and you can go have a coffee here and just see people walk by, which is great too. But there is something, when I don't know. It's almost hard to avoid now. I feel like in 2010 you could avoid a little bit. Maybe I'm naive, but now like you have to be really smart in your research. And hell, every secret spot's got a blog about it. Now.
Yeah, and it's called The Secret Spot, right?
yeah, right. It's always a spot.
Secret Beach, and like 5 million people read about it and tweet about it. Like,
I just went to Lake Tahoe a couple weeks ago. It was like, I never been there like in the summertime. Been there once to snowboard, but it was like the Secret Cove. They have a Secret Cove there, and it's just packed full of people. I haven't saw the blog. I was like, there's no way this is secret. It's so like widespread. But back in the day, you get a Lonely Planet book, and they would have budget travels, which was like it would have like a little dollar sign of where you want to go. And man, I believe there's still places like that, but I feel like as time goes on and with the widespread of internet and blog writing and Instagram and all that it's.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, where's that gonna go, right?
Who knows? Good question. Where is all this shit gonna go? I mean, I don't know. What do I love it most about? Like, I haven't like traveled like that in a while, but I feel like, I don't know. It's great when you like get an experience and you're focused on that than the recording of it. I mean, I like to record that experience, but and slash like the people you meet and stuff like that, or the people you're with. Like I think that's, I don't know, that's good traveling, I guess. I don't know.
It's the experience, right? But I don't know. It's another friend of mine through the Academy of Art of San Francisco. She was a big traveler, like backpacker style, and she talked about, had mixed feelings on this. And I think as I get older, my opinion changes. But she was in Indonesia, I think, or Malaysia, and she took this like little boat out to this like distant island, and she's like, you literally walk up, and it's like you're on sand off this boat, and then you walk into a Starbucks with a sand floor. I was like, a Starbucks? She goes, yeah, it was an actual Starbucks. And she goes, it was awful. And I was like, man, it was awful. And she goes, but the whole community was so excited to have a Starbucks, and it had a job system, and it was a place to go get coffee, nice coffee like the Americans enjoy. So I could see like it's a benefit to the community, like they might want it, but at the same time, like us, these spoiled Americans are like, how dare they have Starbucks here? I want like a tropical tree and that's it. You know? Right.
Well, yeah, I think it's like in moments like that, you just embrace it. Like, oh yeah, fucking Starbucks. I'll take an espresso. Like, can I get a quad on ice? I don't know if you guys have ever ordered that, but it's a hell of a trip for your heart. But you get a quad espresso shot on ice. Just it'll destroy you. I would get something outrageous. Like, okay, this is outrageous. There's sand. I've been in like 64 Starbucks in New York City. None of them got sand in them. I don't know. So like I would even I don't know. But I see like also like the drop of like your heart drops because it's not cool. It's like that word authentic, right? It's not even, you know, but I don't know. It's something to interrogate a little bit, I think. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I quit Starbucks to go on semester at sea, so I would have been very mad just because it reminded me of work.
It's interesting how countries embrace that, though. I remember reading about McDonald's going to China, and they I mean, these fast food restaurants were fancy. You know, they sold like fancy like cuisine burgers and things like that. Like, they embraced the shit out of McDonald's.
There was this guy, Tucker, I'm sure you know. He was a very loud personality on Semester at Sea. I'm still buddies with him, Eric Burgoyne. And I don't know his name, but
he's a teacher. I don't know if he still is. I don't know what he was. But.
No, he's bounced around. He's in construction management. Then he went to solar. Now he's back in construction management living in Texas. I think he's about to move to North Carolina, but he got out of teaching. But he was like,
wow. Totally had his story completely wrong. Okay.
He was a teacher for a long time. He was, but
okay, gotcha.
He was like, you know, I want to hit a McDonald's in every city and every place we go. And I'm like, what? And then like we went to Tokyo, and like, I got to try the Big Mac in Tokyo. And had like wasabi on it or something. I don't know, but you got to just embrace it, right? It's just a fun thing. And just like, you know, every city, every location is constantly evolving, even here in America. Like you were talking about Boulder and stuff like that. Like
yeah. I mean, I start thinking about because I think I was a really snob about that when I was like if you would talk to me 5 years ago, like I don't want to go somewhere over commercialized, but it's just part of the fabric of where you are. It just depends. Like sure, I like finding a place that's not as known, or like it feels like the more real, where I'm not being sold something, all that, like sold a certain experience versus I am embracing an experience. Like, you know, I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, I think that I experience it all. I don't know. It goes back and forth, I think. And then when you feel like you're in that moment, I feel like trying to make fun of it or like have fun with it, if that makes sense.
Well, in I guess kind of backtracking, what got you to start being open to traveling in the first place? Did your parents travel?
No, let's see. So yeah, let's see. Okay, yeah, 2009. So a year before the semester at sea thing, I was in college, and I was in a biology class, and there was this Australian dude who came in right before class and handed out all these flyers and said, "You'll have the time of your life if you sign up for this program." And it was a volunteer program for a month, and you could get some college credit for it. And it was like kind of a mini study abroad program. I think it was called, I'm going to fuck this up, International Volunteers something. I don't know if it was called something like that. It was a small time program out of California or something. Like out of, I want to say San Diego actually. And so I looked into it, and it was going to cost me $1,000 to do. And I had some savings, and I said, like go to Dominican Republic. That was the cheapest thing, and I was gonna get 3 credits, some kind of credit for it, and I would get to spend a month and a half abroad in Dominican Republic. Never been abroad before. Everyone thought I was crazy. My dad said I shouldn't do it because it was going to cost $1,000. Blah blah blah. It's like I want to go. I want to go. Like I get to learn some Spanish. Get to spend a month and a half in the DR. Never been abroad. Like let's do it. I was excited. It sounded fun. You get to do all these things. Get to help teach this school or whatever. Looking back, it was kind of a volunteer. I mean, I think we did some good. I don't know, but it seems after doing Peace Corps and doing like this, like do good work and stuff, you see like these kind of patterns. But it felt like they were kind of after your money a little bit, but maybe not completely. I hopefully that money went to good things. But it was so I did that trip and it changed my life. Like I met some amazing people who met like 30 other people who some of them I'm kind of loosely in contact with in that program. And it was also my first experience being outside the U.S. and DR is not that far away from the U.S., but it was like vastly different. Just like the traffic, the culture, the way people live their lives, right? And so like I think being in a country like that and seeing like the despair, like we would stay at some of these hotels that were kind of nice, and then I would hang out with people who live in these like shacks, like so it's just like these. And I would see that huge difference, and so as a 20-year-old, it was a very mind-opening experience, I think. And so at that time, I was kind of thinking about a study abroad program, and that's when I would decide I need to travel more. Like I like this experience of meeting different people from all over the place and also seeing a place that's vastly different than the place I grew up in.
So. Where in DR were you at? We
went all over. I can't remember because 2009, I should be better about knowing what the town was. I went to like the capital was at San Domingo to San Luce. I don't know. I'm messing that up. San Jara which is like a mountain town. Do you know any of the towns in there?
I went like Samana. There's like Samana, and then there's oh god, I forget too.
I don't know. If I looked at a map, I could probably remap this. Sorry, not a good representation of what is there,
but it sounds like sometimes you just gotta say fuck it, man. You know, guy walks in, throw some flyers, you look at the flyer and say fuck it.
I mean, that was my attitude at the time. I was like, it felt like the opposite of anything that people wanted me to do. So I mean, a classic like young person thing, like I'm not going to do what you want me to do. I'm going to do what I want to do.
Yep. That's good. That's a good thing sometimes, especially when you're young. You have years to do things.
I mean, and I think when I was younger, I was under illusion that all my choices were going to destroy my later life, which is so not true. So it's like I thought this was it was an amazing experience. I feel like I met really good friends for the first time. And I felt like I saw, like going back to this writer thing, like I feel like I had experience, like, or I could see perspective. And I feel like I could, not that I was writing a lot there, but it felt like I had a kick of, like I wasn't just playing beer pong and playing Call of Duty. Like that was kind of, or playing Mario Kart, like, and talking about what was on SportsCenter with, what's their names? Scott, whatever his face, Vanderpelt guy. Like, you know, it's like all that shit, like was kind of, not that stuff's bad necessarily, but it felt like the opposite of that when you're trying to surf in Dominican Republic, or when you're like, you're talking to someone who's like a lifetime merengue dancer or whatever, or someone who's like run a tour of like these 27 waterfalls for 40 years or something. Like, I don't know. They have like, I don't know. So you just meet all these different wild experiences, which at the time was huge for me, but looking back there, it's like, oh, that was only the iceberg. But when you're 20, it's like the explosive, I guess.
We talk about this all the time, right, Jay? It's like just repetitiveness, right? We you know, when we talk about it, it's the barbecue, right? You go back, drink some beer, barbecue, you know, to get out of that. And, you know, taking those chances, it's almost like, so first two things, Tucker, it's I love Mario Kart. That's
how dare you?
Well, I do too. I love Mario Kart. Let's not get that wrong. I like Mario Kart.
But you know what? Just exposure to culture, man. And you say that first trip changed your life forever, and it's like you see that culture, you understand that culture. It brings me to like my daughter's 12 years old, and she's constantly asking me about what's that program where they send high school exchange student, right?
Yeah.
She's like, I want to be an exchange student, right? She's 12 years old. She still has the four years or so before she gets to that point.
Yeah.
But she already wants to experience those cultures, and I, as a father, like, damn, do I want to let her go? It's like, it's kind of iffy, right? Just like your father, and it's like sometimes you just experience that shit to send you in a whole new direction, man.
It could. I mean, I can't imagine. I don't have any children or anything, but it's. I don't know. It's tough because I now teaching undergraduates, like what age I was then, like you see different spectrums of experience, right? And so it's, some people get something out of it. Some people drink beer for 6 months.
Heyo. Check. But in Nick, we always talk about the opportunity because like I traveled younger. Sounds like you did too, Tucker, and you have no kids. I have no kids, and sounds like you're falling in love or you're in love, and I'm
I'm en route. Yeah, I'm in love, but I'm en route for what you're. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm recently engaged, and Nick, his kids are old, like they're going to high school or in high school. I think one
junior high right now.
Junior high, and they're going. And so within a short matter of time, him and his wife are studied archaeology, and they plan on going to once the kids are kind of grown up, going to South America and going to these dig sites and kind of just living out there. And I'm like, there's always time. So like, why I have a baby probably, and I'm kind of stuck in an area, maybe I'll put my baby somewhere, but Nick, you're going to be traveling, man. And it sounds like it. And it's like, everyone has a different time frame, but I don't know. I'm going to be jealous. I know that.
And you know what? That's why you say you watched a couple episodes, Tucker. We've had a few people that we know that have traveled. And it seems to be a common trend, right? It's like you do it and you just love it and you want to keep doing it. And to experience this otherness, I think, is like, you gotta know what's out there.
Well, and I don't know. It just, I think some people are just, I don't know. I'm just always not satisfied because I'm just an asshole like that. But like, I think that's why I traveled. I'm just like, I want to see more. And then I was like, I want to see more. And then it's like, well, when I got to look in eventually, you got to start. It sounds like you found yourself, like you went to the Peace Corp. It sounds like you're going through some stuff and maybe, I don't know. It sounded like to me, maybe you're trying to find a little bit of yourself or get a break from something, but
yeah, no, totally. I mean, that's what I would think I was doing in Peace Corps for sure. I mean, I also learned a lot in Peace Corps and like personally, like it was good. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, everyone has a different path, I think. So and then I don't know, I lived in New York City for 3 years, which was a weird, like, and I worked in children's hospitals for 3 years. It was like this weird job where I got paid to play Uno. I mean, I did more than that. But like,
the tagline though.
Yeah. It's the last time I would get paid to play Uno. But it was a great gig. But I think I learned, that was when I started shifting towards like, is this the type of stuff I want to do forever? Is this the type of life I want to live forever? Like, not necessarily. So I don't know. I think travel has so many different aspects to it, but for now, I mean, it feels like just a break and kind of to see other perspectives and do other stuff. But I don't know. But at the time when I was younger, it was, I guess, an escape in some level, but also a learning curve. I don't know. It's a lot of things.
It's fun to have these conversations. I think it's inspirational for me, learning some things. And, I mean, it's a different age, so different experience probably. But
yeah,
I enjoy having these conversations, man, about people traveling the world and sharing their stories. It's fucking amazing.
Well, and Tucker's our first guest in a while. We had a bunch of guests. Like we ran through some guests, and then we just, I don't know, we just like probably got lazy or something, but we stopped. But we're gonna start having more guests, starting with Tucker here. But yeah, man, I don't know. I always suggest travel, especially young travel, because I'm not too old yet. I feel old, but I was old for a semester at sea. I was like 24. I think there was like only 3 of us that were 24, and everyone else was way younger. Because where we grew up, the college age is way later.
Okay.
Yeah, most people graduate their 4-year at like 22, I think, and like for us, I was at a junior college, and the average age was like 28.
Just not talked about. I mean,
it's not a huge educational push area, I would say. I don't know, maybe it's changed.
I agree.
But yeah, I saw travel as just like a way to kind of escape. It's exactly what you said.
Yeah, it's a way to just shake things up. I think if you're ready to do that, I guess. I don't know. That's what it felt like for me. I don't know. But it also felt like it was a huge education, I think, for me at the time. And you just learn so many good things, I think. Or at least for me, my situation, it was, I learned some things that I needed to learn. So it's good.
Sounds like something you would need to write a book, say?
Yeah.
Heyo, segue.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. My first book right now, I don't know how much Semester at Sea probably won't crawl it. Maybe it will. I'll maybe mention that a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Jay, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead.
I was just thinking, do you remember a guy named Kyle Cobell? You mentioned 24. I think he was about that age when he was on Semester at Sea.
He like broke his arm, right? Like kind of scrappy white dude or something.
I don't know. He's a little bit bigger guy. Looked like a bear.
No, I had a small circle. I kind of stuck with my little crowd, and every once in a while I'll jump out of it. But I didn't know what to expect. The area I grew up in, I feel like stuck 10 years behind, and I showed up on the ship with baggy pants, and everyone was very colorful and very city, and I was intimidated. And I was one of the older guys, and I was just like, well, a lot of these people have traveled before they got on Semester at Sea, and I could barely pronounce English because where we grew up, it's it kind of has its own little slang.
Echo Unlimited.
We don't say pretty, we say purdy,
Exactly.
But it was it was definitely eye-opening experience, and it helped me build confidence too, for sure. But traveling's great, but it's not the be all end all. And I don't know. God, no. Like a lot of people think, oh, this person traveled, he's so like spiritual. And it's like, yeah, you can be spiritual if you want to work on yourself in a small farm town.
Right. You can still be an asshole and like have been to every country, right? Like, so it's,
Exhibit
so it goes both ways. I mean, I don't know. Like I think about this, I think about like living in Alabama. Like I'd never been to Alabama before I came here and visited, saw the campus before I signed the line. But like, like there's a lot of stuff here that it's the same lessons I learned even in Colorado. Like I felt like after Semester at Sea, it's like, that was something I felt so crazy about. Like I've done insane stuff like in India. I've never looked up one thing about Colorado. Why don't I know more about, like I should know more about Colorado. I should experience or talk to people in Colorado. I mean, I think that was one of the biggest lessons I think I learned from big travel. It's like, I can do this. I can find cool, interesting stuff in the place I live if I just apply the same amount of thoughts and energy and like research towards it. I don't know if that makes sense. But
I totally agree with you. Semester at Sea, although there was a lot of travel after that, and I lived in the Netherlands, and it was, I kind of hated my town. I even kind of hated America because I was a young revolutionary college kid, and I appreciate America a lot, although it's not perfect. I appreciate a lot of aspects of it when I came back, but more so my hometown. To this day, I still like have this like love for it, and I'm glad a lot of people don't go there, and maybe it's selfish, but it's like, man, it's such a special little place to me. After I remember on Semester at Sea going on Wikipedia, although I know you're not supposed to go on Wikipedia, but like researching Lindsey and just like the Native American tribes a little bit, and just the farming and everything in general, and it kind of gave me a different perspective on my hometown. It was something I didn't expect.
No, I mean, I feel the same. I mean, 10 Sleep Wyoming feel the same way. And also with Public Colorado, I don't plan on living there again, but I've learned a lot. I mean, thinking about stuff. I don't know.
Well, yeah. Tucker, I got to say one thing. It's been on my mind since you called in. And also we forgot to clap when Tucker came on. So good luck with the audio editing.
Thank you, my friend. And since we're speaking of that, take a look at that camera over there.
What happened?
I don't know. It stopped recording for some reason.
You want to?
Oh.
Here.
So let me still.
Sorry,
this says recording on this end. I don't know if that matters at all. But
we record on Zoom, but we use a higher quality camera. But it's been happening.
I see.
It's been like the data fills up too quick or something. But we got like multiple cameras just in case this happens. So we could always use the Zoom.
I see.
Let Nick kind of figure it out. But
what do you got? What beer are you drinking right now?
This is Pacifico. So it's it's super hot in Sacramento. Like there's going to be like, I think 3 or 4 days over 100, which I'm sure in Alabama has the same stuff with humidity. We're kind of dry here, but my girlfriend, she's grew up in the Bay and she's like, I'm going back to the Bay. And I'm like, well, I'll stay here. And so I picked up a case of Pacifico last night.
Nice. Congrats on being engaged, by the way.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. So
that's amazing. Yeah.
How long have you been with your girlfriend?
9 months. Yeah. Yeah, we're definitely on the route to those bigger things for sure. So yeah.
Well, and we're talking about all these experiences, travel experience. Love is one of the strongest experiences. You know, not just with another. Like
I mean, yes, it is. It is a great. Oh, it's huge. I mean, my life has gotten even instantly better knowing Megan, my girlfriend. She's amazing. And I think we're in it for the long haul. So I don't know. I mean, no matter what happens next, like I'll be thankful for Alabama. For me, we met on the college quad. It was an amazing, like, strange meetup. Like a friend of hers, mutual friend named Mary Louise, who I was in ukulele club with. I played ukulele, and we met, which is basically playing ukulele at a brewery pub here in town. And she said, "Hey Tucker, what's up?" And she was she worked with Megan, my girlfriend, and we introduced each other, and the rest is history, sort of. But we traded emails and eventually numbers. Went out to a happy hour, and we've been dating since like November 6th.
Nice, man. You guys traded emails before phone. Nice.
Well, she was like, this is how it started, because Mary Louise said, "Oh, Megan did Peace Corp," and then Megan was like, "Oh, do you want to come to an event with me at some point? Do you want to she did events to promote." So she worked for the international organization, like international Alabama international stuff. She does all the Fulbright stuff here on campus, all that stuff. And so she also promotes Peace Corps a little bit on campus. And so she said, "Do you want to come to a meeting where I have to talk about Peace Corps in front of undergrad students?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "What's your email?" And so we did that. But then later that day, so this whole story or whatever. Yeah, later that day, and I was like, "Okay." And so she emailed me. But then I swear, like a couple hours later, Mary Louise, mutual friend, texted me and said, "We're going to this bar. It just closed. 301 bar." She said, "For happy hour. Megan's coming," smiley face. And I was like, well, okay, great. And I was newly single, so I was like, okay, whatever. I'm down to go for happy hour, hang out. And so I went to the happy hour, and Megan was there, and we chatted. Megan's version of the story is I stared at her a lot and talked to her a lot. I was enamored. I was into her. I think she was really interesting and fun. And then eventually, so we got to her, but she said on the way to that bar, she has like a 5-minute drive, right? On the way to this bar, the first thing she says when I walk up to is, "Are you on the radio? Do you do radio?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." So I was doing Alabama Public Radio, where I sometimes do voiceovers and say a news story or whatever, and say, "This is Tucker Legerski with Alabama Public Radio in Tuscaloosa," or whatever. And she heard that in the 5 minutes she drove from campus to this bar. It was on the radio. It played. She dialed in on the NPR/APR radio and heard my voice. So it was just like this perfect thing. And then I asked for a number that night. We started texting, and then we started hanging out a bunch that month. So.
It was meant to be.
Then, yeah, it was meant to be. It was just meant to be. And then, yeah, I kind of moved in more or less as COVID hit really hard, like the first lockdown in March or whatever that was.
Well, I know that has its test, because me and my girlfriend moved in January together, and then shortly after the COVID hit, we definitely been tested and we both were at the time worked from home, so it was just a lot.
Yeah, no, I mean that's the same, dude. Like, I mean, I'm in my office right now. I mean, this is my work. It's and she's been working from home since March. It's like it's crazy.
Yeah, and it's like we were like, this is like we're about to rip each other's heads off, and then we talk now, man, it's kind of weird. We like bonded in this like kind of crazy like time of the world.
You can have like separation issues once everything goes back to normal.
I think we'll be all right. Just kidding. So Tucker, I think we've been going almost 2 hours maybe since you logged on. But so one thing I like to ask, and then anything you want to talk about, I mean, we got all day, or we could end it, but what was like dating in New York compared to Alabama? Have to ask.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, how should I answer this question?
You don't have to answer it if you don't want to, by the way.
I'm trying to, let me think. Okay. I mean, I'll say this. I found the love of my life in Alabama, for whatever that's worth. I lived in New York City for 3 years. I lived in Alabama for a little less than 2 years and found the person. So I don't know, whatever that's worth. New York dating is strange. I did a mix of trying a full different approach, like online dating and what I like to call in the wild dating. I feel like online dating is zoo dating, where you walk through a curated place and see things, and you can possibly hang out with those things if everything works out. And then in the wild is like, you don't know what the fuck's gonna happen, but something amazing, you could see something amazing, you could dock something amazing. And so that was my experience in New York, but it was scattershot and nothing was ever long-term. It was so, I think New York is so, I mean, one thing about New York is there are just so many different types of people. And there are moments in New York, right, where everything feels right. You met the right person, you had an amazing makeout session, you stayed up till 6 a.m, went back to their apartment, you met at a bar or a club, went dancing, blah, blah, blah. You're riding home in the subway, you're feeling like $1 million, but then they don't text you the next day and it just all evaporates. And so like, but you had that amazing moment where it felt good. Or you date somebody, like I dated somebody who was a lawyer for 6 months who I had no idea why she was interested in me. She's making 3 times what I was making, and I was a little nonprofit kid and she wanted to hang out. I don't know. Couldn't explain that. But like, there was like weird moments, but then in Alabama dating, I think in New York there's more abundance of like different opportunities, but it's much harder and harsher. And Alabama, it's slower, but also more easygoing. I don't know. I mean, I didn't expect to meet anyone really, especially right before I met Megan. I was like done with dating, was ready to just put my head down, get my book done, get out of here. But then, of course, like most stories, you don't expect things that happen. So like the things that happened is I met Megan, who's amazing, who's completely changed my life and made it much better. But it's going to require me to be here a little bit longer. I mean, I'm going to get out and do things, but it was, so I don't know if that answers the question at all, but
no, it does. Cheers to Megan, by the way.
Yeah, cheers to Megan.
Cheers to Megan. Yeah.
I don't know Megan, but I know Tucker from years back and on that experience. But yeah, man, yeah. She won definitely. Don't.
Oh well. Hey, your fiance won as well. What's your fiance's name?
Gina.
Gina won. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, buddy. But
cheers to Gina.
Cheers to Gina. Hey, cheers to you fuckers, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, shit, Tucker. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know, man. What else should we talk about? I feel like I've already eaten up your time. You're probably like dying to get off of this thing.
Oh man, this is awesome. This is what we do. But one thing I was trying to say earlier is since you got on, I've been wanting to say this is, and I mean this in the most compliment, it's one of my favorite movies, but you are, with your glasses and everything, your hair, you're presenting the guy from Into the Wild. I forget the actor's name. You ever see Into the Wild?
Yeah, totally. I read the book too. What's his name? That dude was also on The Girl Next Door, right?
Yeah. You got totally that vibe with the glasses, but that movie in general. And by the way, they just moved the bus. The bus has been moved.
Really?
Yeah, they took it out because because too many tourists were trying to go out there and it was dangerous.
See, another tourist thing, like another temple. Like
and then you know what I gotta say?
I mean, that bus was nothing before, right? Like, and now people go.
Now people are going to go to some museum. And
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's overthinking, but now it's a museum for like, and then put his carcass in there. Like, I don't know.
Oh man. Well, and if you, I read the book too. The book gives a totally different perspective than the movie. It kind of gives a little more inexperienced, but yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
You give that vibe.
Interesting. It's an interesting. Yeah, I don't know. What's his name? Krakauer is that the guy who wrote the book, right? He's a good writer. He wrote that Into Thin Air. That was a good book too.
Hey, Tucker's lighting is fucking impeccable, by the way.
Yeah, what kind of light are you working with?
Okay.
You got a ring light. I saw in the glasses.
You can see that? Yeah, you can right
Little
there.
bit.
Look at it. Look, see it? Okay. I'm giving a little behind the scenes. I just bought this, so I'm pretty new to it. I don't know.
Nice.
That, yeah.
Oh, I like it. It's for the desk too.
And then I've got a lamp up here. Let's see what the difference is if I turn the lamp off. Whoops. Oh, that's a huge difference. Oh God.
Like night.
Okay, we need to keep that on. Yeah. So I've got a headlamp above my laptop and the ring light from here. But
Nice.
I don't know what the best lighting is. What are you guys working with?
We're amateurs. We're just figuring this out each week, but we got.
Well, I'm an amateur as well. Let's not get it twisted.
We got 2 ring lights behind us, kind of like going behind our head, and then we got 2 big soft lights kind of angled at each of our faces. Although on Zoom, you're probably not seeing it, but on YouTube, you'll see it when we post this. But lighting was a big thing for us. Audio and lighting was the worst thing.
Well, I don't know. I'm about to create these like hype videos for my students. I'm going to try to make these like, this is what to do at the end of the week because I'm teaching these hybrid classes. You gotta love the South, where we're gonna try to pretend the pandemic's not happening, but like work around it kind of thing as long as we can, right? That's just the way it goes. And I'm gonna try to teach this hybrid class where I teach usually Monday, Wednesday through Friday. I have 18 students, but I have to split them into 6, and I'm gonna make these hype videos where I talk about like what's due at the end of the week. They're going to be under 3 minutes and say, this is what's due. Here's my full face. That's why I bought this ring light to try to like, I don't know, bring in more video, like hype production. I don't know, but it's tough.
Hey, it looks good, man. Some of the best lighting we've had from a guest. So, hey-o. But I got to ask you, Tucker, you said you had 18 students total?
Yeah.
And now you're breaking them up. How does that work, like with your like hourly obligations or whatever? Like you have one class as all these people, now they split it up into 3.
I don't know. I mean, one thing to be said about our graduate thing, no one's like counting every hour I work, right? Like and it varies every week. So it's supposed to be 20 hours, but like, how do you judge that with like planning a class or like I'm in a class for an hour, right? So like that's 3 hours a week. I don't know, like, so I don't know how, and then it's just assumed that I spend about 20 hours planning, like it all works out. No one's counting this though. So I am breaking the 18 up I broke them up into 3 groups, and we've got, so like A group, B group, C group. I'm just going to break them up like A group's meeting on Mondays, B group on Wednesdays, C group on Fridays, and then they rotate throughout the semester. That's what I'm going to do. And then in my classroom, apparently there's these big things of tape in front of us, and there's tape X'd out on desks you cannot sit at. So like to keep everybody 6 feet at.
You're going to be in the building though. I thought you were going to do it over Zoom. You're going to be in the...
So the hybrid, so it's the whole hybrid thing. So I am teaching an asynchronous class where I'm giving you a bunch of shit to do that you have to do. Finish it by Sunday at 5. If you don't, you don't get credit for it. The class is used for is like, let's talk about let's talk more about the assignment. It's more one-on-one. I might take us outside more often than not because that's safer, or, if people are nervous about being in a room because it's more likely to spread there or whatever. So like, that's kind of, I don't know, my approach to it. And so like, that's what I'm hoping will happen with it. But we also are given this huge like plexiglass that's on wheels, which I don't understand. So like, okay, the room's pretty big, right? I can sit 6 students and myself, and there's tape off where we're supposed to sit. But then there's this huge, like, I mean, it's, I don't know, 10 feet tall, a plexiglass. Like, do I put that in front of my Or do I push that toward, like, the student in the back? Do I push that towards, like, through the desks? I mean, there's gonna be some good sitcoms that come out of this.
Yeah.
Like, do I push the plexi down? Like, yes, you use the comma in the right spot. The student's like, I can't share it with you on my Google Docs. Like, do you have it printed out? Yes, I do. Like, as if that's gonna happen, but let's just pretend. And so, like, they have, like, can you come look at my comma? Like, am I gonna push the plexiglass? I'm like, and like breathe on it? Like, yeah, that looks fine. Okay, great. Moving back. Like, I don't know how this is gonna look.
That'd be badass if you could do like Iron Man, where it's like a bunch of screens.
Yeah.
Like, that would be cool. I would be game for that if that's what was happening.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird setup. I don't know how to feel about the whole damn thing.
Yeah. Do you think this is going to be around for a while? What's your, like, I know we all got our political leanings, but what's your, like, personal, like, vibe? Like, is this just something we live with? Is this something that dies out in a couple of years or a year or whatever?
I don't know. I mean, there's a couple things. The fastest vaccine that's ever been done has been 4 years, but that was in 1950 something. So we have way more technology and like money and energy towards it. So, like, I think a vaccine can be created probably, you would think. I mean, there's been billions of money, and over 164 companies or something are going after trying to make this. So a vaccine changes the game. So I think that would show up by next spring or summer, is my guess. Being the amount of energy and people and research and resources, meaning money, put towards it, I think a vaccine will show up, a legitimate one. The bigger question is, which has always been the question with vaccines, is how much you trust the vaccine, and so that will go hand in hand with how I think our election will go, because if you have in March a vaccine that's legitimate, that's good, if you have a leader like Trump, will people buy into the vaccine? Will they trust it because it's under the Trump leadership versus the Biden? I don't know.
That's interesting.
So I think that's going to factor in. It's going to depend on November a little bit on who gets elected. I think the leadership and who's overseeing. It depends on how that vaccine gets done. There's also the chance that the vaccine will go like normal vaccines and it will take more than a year or two or something, but that's hard to imagine with so much energy and money and science and research put towards it, right? So I don't know. I don't know what to imagine. I think it's going to be hard to say, but I think it's going to be, I don't know. I don't know when it's going to feel right to turn. Like, I can't wait for that day I can tear a mask off and go to a concert and just mosh pit and just lick the ground. Like, I'm excited. I'm excited for that moment. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I want to say next summer, but fuck, I don't know.
$1 million question.
I want to have a barbecue and I want to travel. Like, I want to have a party and I want to travel, and I want to go to a crowded bar, which I never said ever in my life, but I want to go to a crowded bar.
Yeah, I would love to sit at I want to go to, I hate clubs, but I'll go to a club. I don't care.
Give me something.
I'll order like 3 drinks and just be like, I'm here. I am next to other human beings. It's fine.
I'm human. I'm alive.
I won't catch COVID. I might catch something else. But
just keep those thoughts.
Yeah. So
will come.
I don't know. I mean, do you guys feel the same? What do you think? I don't know.
Well, when this first hit, I was like, I watched the right-leaning news, I watched the left-leaning news, I do my own little research, and I'm like, there's a lot of just question marks, which makes sense. And then I was like, they keep saying this day, I don't know, remember, they like would say, oh, this day we'll like we'll flatten the curve and we'll go out. And then I just said, this date keeps getting pushed back. I am not going to get excited about this ending until August. Well, we're here in August, and it looks like I need to extend my
August 15th.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. I hope for the best, and I think it's going to be like this for a while. So my vibe,
I mean, and also, like, damn, the winter season's coming. We're both living in states where the winter's not as intense, I guess, but like that's going to play a factor. I mean, I don't know. And there's also going to be this, like, do I have COVID or do I have the flu or whatever? I mean, fuck. I mean, there's all this stuff. It's hard. I don't know what the winter is going to be like, but it's going to be difficult, I think.
Yeah, I told I love doing jujitsu. Like that's my therapy, and I haven't been able to do it. My girlfriend's a little more like worried about it than I am. I'm like, well, okay, August is here. It's time to take risks and go live my life and not put other people at jeopardy, obviously. But it is like, I do think like, man, going to jujitsu, like you're literally on top of people. That's the closest you could get, and that's like what the sport is. And I'm like, we have about once a month I check in with her like, so what do you think about me going to jiu-jitsu every day? But I just need some type of activity or some type of normalism, I guess, to attach myself to.
Dude, the NBA bubble, dude, they're so successful at nobody having COVID. I think
Really?
they get tested like every single day.
Okay.
And then if you come in, you have to quarantine. Nobody comes in, nobody goes out, and I think they've 100% success rate.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's interesting you bring that up. I think, I mean, it's probably not financially possible, but like if universities or any organization followed the NBA model, I think would be set. Like the NBA also, have you heard about these like chirper devices they've had?
Never heard.
Where, so, I mean, you have to wear them and you have to turn them on, but like if you put them on your body and you're within somebody who is within 10 feet or whatever, the 6 feet, if you're within after 10 seconds, it starts chirping and you have to move out of the radius. It's like all the media people who are in the bubble wear that shit, and then they wear it on the cameraman, they put it on the players. The players don't wear it, I don't think, when they're playing, obviously, but they're supposed to wear it when they like, I don't know, when they're not in the whatever, the stadium, wherever the hell they play. But like it's that, like they have gone full out. The bus driver gets tested every day. So like the NBA is a model. I mean, I'm surprised the MLB is fun. Seems like they're going to get through it. Like they were kind of struggling, but now I guess they're fine.
And they still like it. Yeah, they've a lot of teams.
They're so far away from each other. You know? I don't know.
No, they're still getting it though for some reason.
Well, like the UFC, which was a fight tonight actually, but they've had some problems. They've been pretty successful, but some people like within the facility has like tested for COVID and shit.
Oh really? Yeah. I mean, that's I guess easier because there's less people involved probably, but I'm wondering about football. Like, it's interesting to see the college football because they're not unified. Like you got SEC, Alabama, where they are going to try to play. But Big Ten, you got huge teams there who are going to suspend the season. So I don't
alone.
Huh?
Like the economy, like the financials for a big college game, happening. It's
I mean, dude, if UA Tuscaloosa cancels college football, they lose millions of dollars. Like the city loses millions of dollars. So like it's a tough decision. I understand that, but it's like,
wow. Well, not to mention, I mean, football's life down there, man. I mean, these kids growing up, that's their fullest ambition is to.
Right. And you get a game here like I cannot see. I mean, even if they do not allow humans into the stadium, there's no way you're not going to have humans all around the stadium. It's insanity here on game day. Like there are, I mean, I have seen 62-year-old men drink champagne from a bowl on the campus. It is insanity. There are people who bring their living rooms, like lazy boys. I'm not joking. Like with a big lever and a big flat screen and popcorn bowls on the goddamn campus, like quad in the grass, and they just like hook it up with big satellite thing. Like they are so like that will happen if. I mean, I don't know. So unless you want to pretend you're going to social distance. I doubt that's going to happen. I don't know it'll be interesting to see if they decide to play football. It'll be interesting to see how they handle that.
Well, and social distancing is impossible when alcohol is involved. Like everyone's going to group up. Like it's just.
I mean, people and you're going to restrict drinking? I mean, the school or the city of Tuscaloosa said, so after 9 p.m., we're going to restrict bars to 50%. Like bars can only be at 50% capacity. But in my mind, I'm like, okay, so between 11 and 9. So like that's when the virus doesn't work, or like
Right.
like,
Big old line
like,
up.
I mean, those bars are still packed from, I don't know, like 3 to 9. There's people drink at like 7 p.m. Excuse me.
well, kind of changing subjects. You're into writing. You're a writer. You got this big book you're working on. I've dabbled in writing. I don't know grammar very well, but Nick has done some writing a little bit here and there. And what are some writers or some books you're into lately that you suggest? Or overall, maybe not just lately, but in general.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm reading, I don't know, I'm trying to think how I should. So I'm reading a book about vaccines by Arthur. His last name's Arthur. Sorry, I'm forgetting his first name. It's like the history of vaccines, which I think is interesting because it was published in 2007. So I think it came out for right now, the moment that we're in. I think it's interesting to read in terms of like, it's because it was also in the first chapter, it talks about how, and I don't remember this. I mean, maybe I was too young or I didn't care, but like George Bush got vaccinated for smallpox, which smallpox was eradicated from Earth in the 1980s. But there were some laboratories in the US and in Russia who kept the smallpox. They could release the smallpox epidemic if they wanted to, if it was in these underground laboratories. But then there was these words around Iraq having the smallpox or like the disease in some secret laboratory they were going to release or whatever. So like George Bush got vaccinated. There was still a vaccine for it, even though no one had really been vaccinated for it for 20 years or something in 2003 or something. So like it's an interesting book on thinking about the history of vaccines. So I'm reading that. I think that's pretty cool. I also read, I think if you love fantasy, if you want an alternate Game of Thrones book that I think is better, but with a first person perspective, go with Marlon James' books, Red Leopard or Black Leopard, Red Wolf. It's a fantastic book. It's going to be a trilogy. It's about a guy who is named Tracker, who has a special ability. He can smell anything. So he was mostly hired as for adultery. So it's a fantasy world in ancient Africa. That's where it takes place. This guy named Tracker, who people hired him to find people who were cheating on other people. So like they give you a set of underwear, you smell it, and you can find.
Wow.
You can find, or you could like smell poison in a drink, right? Like that's kind of. The book is fantastic. It's violent. It's beautiful. It's sexual. It's got all this beautiful stuff, and it's got this big journey on. It plays on this like chosen child story, right? That is so often used, or chosen person in many books and stuff. But it kind of turns that story on its head. But it's about this group of motley crew people trying to find this chosen child who ends up, I'm not giving anything away, ends up not being really a chosen child. So like it's an interesting book. If you like fantasy and love weirdness and you like Africa folklore, that's the book for you.
Nice.
I'm trying to think what else. I read something, I'm trying to think. I don't know. I've been reading a lot of Best American Essay books recently. I don't know if that's helpful. I don't know if those are good. I'm trying to think.
I don't know either. I haven't read them, but how often do you? I got to ask you because you're a writer. So how often do you? How often do you read, or how many books do you read a year or a month or whatever?
Oh God, I don't know. I don't know how many a year. I probably read. I mean, I read a lot of articles and essays. It's probably in the 50s, 60s, 100s, maybe. Books, I don't know, probably around 40, 50, probably. I don't know. Something like that.
Or 50 a year?
Probably.
Ooh, I'm way behind.
I mean, probably. Yeah, probably something like that. I'm trying to think about, I just read a book. Oh, I mean, wasn't a good book. It was called Patient HM. It was about lobotomies, how lobotomies came in popular in American, like people who were deemed insane. It was like a really scary book about people who were sent to insane asylums who should not have been and had torture done to them under like good medicine. It was kind of crazy. I was reading it I'm trying to read a bunch of historical medicine accounts, try to like understand how medicine's been done. So anyway, sorry, that was a tangent, but that I probably read 40 or 50, 60 books a year, probably. I don't know. I don't know if that's right. I don't know, but I read a lot of books.
Has that been for like many years?
Huh?
Have you been doing that for like a few years, for like your whole life, or what's?
Yeah, I've probably done that since, I think 2013, I decided I wanted to write. And so I decided if I wanted to write a book, I should read a lot. Yeah.
Absolutely.
To understand, and I've read mostly nonfiction, but I read fiction often. Part of me likes sci-fi, fantasy, so like that's just for fun. But another part of me just likes, like, fiction writers can sometimes get the human elements that I want to use in telling a true story or journalism story and stuff. So it's, yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Damn, that's a lot.
Yeah, and there's fiction stories that fall right in line with nonfiction. I mean, there's some that are really on the barrier there that can get pretty interesting.
Oh, absolutely. I think there's definitely tons of stories. I mean, I think good fiction stories are based off true stories.
Right. Yeah, I read this book not too long ago. I looked it up the other day and I forgot all about it, but maybe we talked about it, Jay. It was about the crash landing on the Hudson River.
Oh yeah.
They made the movie about it. You remember that, Tucker?
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, I didn't read the book, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Well, no, it was a fiction book based off of that built like a conspiracy around it, like it was a PR stunt on the airline's part.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because they were dying and they needed something to boost their reputation, and so they staged this landing. Yeah, conspiracy, baby. But it was like this book that was it was off the true story, and it made it a fiction book, which was freaking, and it was an awesome book.
Yeah.
They also had some illegal selling of celebrity sperm. It was like,
you gotta
some crazy shit in
if
there.
a conspiracy book doesn't have celebrity sperm, I don't want to read it.
Right.
But I'm reading. This is very amateur for you, Tucker, I'm sure, but it's a book you hear about all the time. But I finally picked it up and read it, and I got 20 pages to go, and I'm not reading them because I don't want it to end. That is a short read. But The Alchemist.
Yeah, no, that's my sister's favorite book. So.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna actually give it to you after I read it. But it's a fun little book about
That is a good book.
Cool, sweet. Thanks, Tucker. I thought it was like so amateur.
Jay, no, it's not amateur. Yeah.
I'm self-conscious.
Reading's reading.
Yeah.
Reading's reading, dude. There's a lot of good books out there. I don't know. I don't know. Like it's hard to. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I read a lot, but it's whatever. So I mean, people.
A computer system. Knowledge is power. What was that? Remember we used to learn on that in elementary school.
I don't know.
Like this kid would come up and like, knowledge is power.
Yeah.
I forgot what it was called.
Right after Carmen Sandiego.
Right. Yes.
The Oregon Trail.
That was a good book or a good show.
Yeah. It was a computer program when we went to school. I don't know about you, but it was
Schoolhouse Rock.
Schoolhouse Rock. Yeah, that's legendary. Yeah. But well, shit, Tucker, this has been awesome. Anything else you want to share?
No, I don't know what I mean. I don't know. I feel bad. I feel like I've owned this. I feel like I talked quite a bit, so I don't know.
Tucker, just like I'm self-conscious about my book reading, you have been awesome, and this has been the highlight of my week, man. It's been awesome to talk to you and have a great.
Jay, it's been good to catch up with you. I'm glad you're doing well. It's been. Thank you for letting me chat on your podcast.
Well, you're part of the Water Tower family now, and so if you ever want to check in, we want to keep up with your book, and we're going to keep up with your blog down in the description. Tuck Talks, and man, it's awesome to hear about your story and catch up with you. And shit, we'll have you on in the near future.
When I sell the book, let's chat. Let's talk.
You're a millionaire, and you're like in your mansion or your sailboat or whatever you choose. Don't forget about us.
If I clear $50,000, I'm gonna be happy.
Woo! It's gonna happen, my friend.
That's big living in Alabama, baby.
Yeah, man.
I can buy an entire block. I can't wait.
What about a social media platform? Where can we see your progress?
Okay, my Instagram, it's tuck around 10. Tuck around 10. Or you can find me at Tucker Legerski on Twitter. So.
And we'll have all the descriptions down there if you want people to follow you. But
yeah, you can if you want. So
Tucker, this has been awesome, man.
Jay, it's been awesome. Let's not let so much time go by. Let's talk soon.
Yeah, stay in touch. Let's do this. All right, man.
Absolutely.
Have a good one.
All right, guys. Nice talking with you. Later.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
How good was that guest?
Tucker's an amazing character, man.
You see what I'm saying? It's like I always wonder, like when I try to sell you, like someone just from being friends with them years ago, like 10 plus years. Or
right.
I guess he came to San Francisco and visit the bar, but I was drinking a lot, visited a lot of people. But like I think I remember actually he might have sang a song. But cool guy, right?
Well, dude, it's inspirational to get these people on that are hey, whoa, watch it now.
I'm not drunk.
To get people that are doing something, that's inspiration for our followers, for our listeners, and for me, to listen to that kind of stuff and listen to someone that's making the strides. I mean, dude, he could have gone to probably any college and maybe took out some more loans, but he was smart about it, right? It's like, hey, free program, shit, they're gonna, give me a little bit of money to do some research and fucking low rent. Hell yeah.
Yeah, and maybe it's smart, or maybe it's just like you always hear that saying, like, make sure to be you. And make sure just to be who you think you're supposed to be.
And Tucker's authentic, man.
He's cool, huh?
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
We gotta have him back on, and man, I'm excited.
Sure.
Dude, that book sounded interesting.
It did, man. Yeah.
And I'm glad he shared that because I'm sure you don't want to share too much. And
right.
I didn't want to ask for the name of the book, but I was curious, and I'm sure maybe they got to change the name, or I don't know.
And you know what? It seems like, I mean, it's probably not so niche, but it seems like niche enough to where hopefully he can find a good agent and a good publisher. And
when he was describing it, I was just picturing like a documentary, like a preview on Netflix that I want to watch. It was like, damn, like you're like, oh, they got these weird angles, and it has this like family connection and going into the past, which is always cool. But man, I'm excited for him. He's a cool dude.
Totally.
If anyone deserves it, Tucker deserves it.
Good for you, Tucker. Yeah. Keep going, man. For sure. And he found love, which is
always a good thing.
Hey, you know what that's all about.
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. He's doing it. That's amazing.
Yeah. So, well, all right. Should we end this? I don't know.
Let's do it. We've been going over 2 hours. Smoked a couple big stogies.
We smoked 2 cigars. I didn't drink too much whiskey. I drank way more tequila last time. But Tucker joined us, and follow us at watertowerpodcast.com.
Mm-hmm.
Follow us on Instagram. Hit that subscribe button. Forgot to say that at the beginning, but we got the little subscribe graphic. Okay, it's time to end this. All right.
Well, you know what? Okay, so this just threw me off, Jay. The fucking camera's off.
Well, we got multiple, and the GoPro was going, right?
Well, not anymore.
But it was. We got Zoom too.
And we have this,
and we have audio.
So let's just sign off on this.
It just might make your life hell, but there's definitely audio. But all right, everybody, Water Tower Podcast out.
Peace. I'm not to leave that in.
Yeah, why not? Whoa, that was a good podcast,
dude.